disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
Wait.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. Yeah, because you got nothing. You got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Hey, welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing Podcast, broadcasted to you live from the True North. This is your host, Mr. BDA, and I'm glad that everybody could be on board for this one. Fellas, we've got a very special show for everybody here. We're going to be talking about the Canelo Bivol fight. We're going to be talking about some of the statements that have been made by a certain group in regards to Canelo Alvarez and Errol Spence. Supposedly, Canelo is ducking Errol Spence. So we're going to talk all about that. We're going to be opening up the phone lines in about 30 to 45 minutes to get your thoughts on it. And we're going to be talking about many more things as well. So shout out to everybody out there. Thank you for joining us. Before we get down to the fun, let's get the business out of the way. You guys know the drill. You can join us on iTunes, Spreaker, or Spotify. You can listen to the shows there at your leisure once they're posted. If you want to donate via the Super Chat, you're welcome to do so. But it's always better if you join the BD membership program. That way you get special badges, emojis, the whole shebang. But the most important thing is that you continue to like, subscribe, and to spread the BDA gospel. A lot of Philistines out there cavorting as if there's not a great judgment coming. And so you gotta spread that BDA gospel. All right? Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Padja, Zion Zelvin, Shazar, Philly Irish, Rex, Mark T, Hard Recoil, HJ, Jethro Riz, Soothsayer. Shout out to Soothsayer. Shout out to Rapax Trucking Company. And many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Let's get down to it. Like I said, there's been some comments being made about Canelo Alvarez ducking Errol Spence. Supposedly, like Coach Malachi says, reports say, sources say that supposedly they offered Canelo Alvarez. Errol Spence offered Canelo Alvarez 55 mil. And somehow the fact that Canelo refused it means that he's ducking a welterweight. We're going to talk all about that. But Butcha, let me invite people. It's going to take us to another group here. And then I want you to get started, if you will, on this malarkey that we're now seeing. It never stops. Boxing, especially that side of the street, they never disappoint. Hold on a second. All right, now we got, hopefully King Butcha jumps on there. KO Search says, Spence, really? Ha ha ha. Wise Guy says, if Bivol is a bum, what exactly is Shakur? The Quack says, yo, fellas. What's up, man? KO Soothsayer says, big up Shazar. Canelo ducking Southpaw. What? The Quack says, yo, fellas. 1 foot out the door. Shout out to 1 foot says, Errol Sexuals. Right, hold on a second. Let me remove Butcha from there because I don't think he's getting the message. Hold on a second. So we're going to talk about... Listen, and then we got the fight that we're going to talk about. We got to talk about the fight as well. Shit. Hold on a second. Then hopefully we get to that at some point. But again, it's please, everybody, make sure that when you call in, if we get a lot of calls, don't take it personal if we have to move on real quick. So, you speak your mind, you make a statement or ask a question if you want, and then you can... we got to move on to other calls. All right. For some reason, I don't know if King Butch is getting this message. All right. What are some people saying in the chat here? Shouldn't he be hearing Spence unless it's about Crawford, says Philly Irish. Paja says Canelo. Nah, shit. Amak PvP. Shout out to Amak PvP for his contribution. He says Boomer Debate Association is one of the best channels. People were speculating in the Discord that supposedly, apparently, Bucho and I are 60 years old. Jimmy's 70. Gonzalo's about 50. I think people were saying. I mean, it's a whole thing. Anyway, okay, we got Bucho back.
That kind of came up with me. I said that we were all close to the same age. Take a few years, and then the whole thing started going down south after that.
Yeah, you're spreading fake news there, Chief. I'm surprised.
I didn't give ages. I didn't give any numbers at all, bud. I swear.
You've been listening to too much Fox News, if you ask me. All right, we got. Well, first of all, we got Chief. We got what the heck is that? Oh, Gonzalo. Okay, he's got a different. He changed his avatar. We got Chief, Gonzalo, Jimmy, and King Bucho. King Bucho, you want to get us started on this whole Canelo's avoiding Spence narrative?
You go ahead. You tell the story, and then I'll chime in and say what I have to say.
Okay, well, Butch is the one that alerted me to this. Apparently, Blue Blood made a video stating that Tom Brown or somebody Brown over at the PBC, forget the name, offered Errol Spence side offered Canelo 55 mil. Now, here's what the argument he makes. He goes on to say that this is proof that Canelo is avoiding black fighters. Now, here's the argument as far as I understand it. Most black fighters, they say, are mobile fighters. Slick, as they like to say. Canelo lost to Floyd Mayweather, who is slick and black. Canelo was offered fights by Charlo and Spence, and he didn't fight them. They're black, therefore Canelo is avoiding black fighters. But like Bucho said, because we talked a little bit about this, that whole thing falls apart because neither Charlo nor Spence fight anywhere near in the same style as Floyd Mayweather. Neither do they have the same attributes, which are mainly reflexes, hand speed, and foot speed. And the other thing is that they try to conflate all of that by adding to the fact that Eddie Reynoso once said that the black style is a difficult style. Then again, that's a stereotype too, because yes, a lot of black fighters try to fight in a mobile fashion. That doesn't mean all of them do. Hence, Spence and Charlo, they don't fight the same. And then, of course, they had to bring in Shakur Stevenson beating Oscar Valdez, as if that somehow adds weight to their argument that black fighters beat Mexican fighters. I mean, wouldn't most people pick Shakur against anybody else in the division? Doesn't have to do anything with a Mexican style versus a black style. And again, like I said, those fighters fight nothing alike. I mean, most people picked Shakur Stevenson to win. It was one of the easiest picks to make in recent memory. So that's the official narrative that those guys on that side are trying to come up with. And may I say one last thing about that? I got to give credit to his listeners, because I went into the comment section expecting a lot of, that's right, brother, that's right. Instead, a lot of people were calling him out saying, I don't see this one. Blue Blood, I don't see it. I don't get it. And so you got to give it up to his listeners that were kind of battling it out there with him. But Bucho, yeah, that's essentially it, man. Hopefully,
if you're gonna dock a fighter, that means that you're fighting somebody that's skilled, right? So if you're avoiding Spence and Charlo, that means that you're fighting somebody that's in a lower skill level than those guys. Mm-hmm. But he's fighting Dimitri Bivol, right? He's one of the best, if not the best, light heavyweight right now. And so I don't understand. And by the way, these guys talk about the African American style. That Canelo is afraid of the African Americans because it's so deadly. Let me tell you that the European style right now in the light heavyweight division has destroyed all African Americans. All right, because right now you look at the light heavyweight division, it's dominated by East Europeans, or you're right at this point, Dimitri Bivol. Name me an African American that can defeat Dimitri Bivol at this point.
In that weight division, no one. Not in that weight division. And let's go the next weight class down. You've got the Darrell brothers. They're not beating anybody at light heavyweight. They're African American. They're slick. So yeah, from 160 to 175, I don't see African American fighters that are beating those two guys.
Exactly. And here's the other thing that that dude. I always confuse him because I think there's two bloods, right? Two blood boxes or something. So I don't know if I'm getting it.
There's a blood boxing and there's blue blood boxing, and blood is not part of the LDBC at all. I followed him for a little bit and tried to get on his show. He and I agree on a lot of things.
Okay. So it's another. Okay, so it's the one I'm talking about, the guy that's on camera with a cap on.
Blue blood.
Yeah, Blue.
Blue blood.
Okay. He said something. He goes, so now it's clear that Canelo is avoiding this Charlo and Errol Spence, and Bivol is a flat-footed fighter. He said something like that. And then he tried to correct, and he goes, I mean, he's a mobile fighter, but he's not as athletic as Charlo and Errol Spence. I'm thinking, since when is Errol Spence a fleet-footed fighter? I mean, he's got good footwork, don't get me wrong, but to say that Bivol is a flat-footed fighter is just a complete characterization of his style.
Mr. BDA, Spence is a great fleet-footed fighter against a featherweight.
Oh. Anyway, that was my take. That was, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I mean, how can you be like Canelo's fighting Dimitri Bivol, and these guys are talking about him avoiding Jermall Charlo, who's been looking like shit, who looked like shit against Montiel. Who the fuck's Montiel? He lost against Korobov, right? I mean, his best win so far is Derevchenko, and all of a sudden Canelo's avoiding this guy. And I watched that blue blood video, and then he started switching up because he knew his arguments didn't make any fucking sense, right? Why would Canelo be avoiding a welterweight and a guy that like he's not really that good in Charlo? So he starts switching it up and starts talking about Demetrius Andrade. So like this guy has absolutely like why would you even talk about Demetrius Andrade? He has no place in this fucking conversation. He's not with the PBC, and then they didn't offer him a fight.
And you know what else?
Yeah, I haven't heard about an offer from Andrade to Canelo yet either.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know if this guy really believes what he's saying, and I mean, it just goes to show too as well why a lot of these guys never show up to any other non-LDBC panel because they like to do it from their channel. Nobody questions them. I mean, the people in their chat question them, but they never reply. And so you can't expect them to show up to it. So when people say, well, they're not showing up to your channel because it's too easy, but whatever, something like that, they like to say, well, that's not true because their arguments fall apart rather quickly. And again, I do got to give it up to some of the people in his comment section. They were rejecting what he was saying outright. So you got to give it up to them. They're not all drinking the flavor, as it were. Jimmy, you got your microphone on, and I don't know if you're trying to talk or if you're talking by yourself. So.
Oh no! I just started laughing at what you said when you said flavor. Sorry, I've been quiet until you made me laugh.
Well, what do you think about this whole thing?
I could say about Tom Brown, what he was talking about, the reason why I believe he would have brought up Andrade is because Tom Brown talked about him too, something about, recently that he's very boring and they're trying to load him on course. They're trying to load him on to the PBC. The zone will let him go over there because they want us to pay for him because he doesn't bring anybody. But I mean, listen, Tom Brown, believe it or not, is supposed to be respected in the business. I mean, at one point, but at this point, now listen, he's trying to, let's just forget about the Spence thing. The fact that, and no matter what anybody wants to say, I went back and now watched that fight twice. And at 3 different times were very visible. He was hurt by twice by body punches and once by a shot to the head. And I'm not even talking about the one that almost put him through the ropes. And that's by a kid who doesn't hit that hard.
Which fight are you talking
tell me
about?
He's going to go up about Ugas when Spence fought Ugas. He was hurt a few times in that fight. Absolutely winced in the body, and then dropped his elbows down, and then didn't throw any punches for like the rest of the rounds, like 30 seconds left. That body punch, felt it. Canelo would murder him if he made up. You know how sluggish he would be at 164. He doesn't have the feet. Put it this way, he have the feet that Bivol does. Bivol's one of the most elusive guys in boxing. He's got great feet. He bounces in and out like he's a fucking, like it's, you know what I mean? Like, what do they call the guys with the knives, the swords. He's more that, which that sport's all about, and fencing, fencing, that's all footwork. That's all that is bouncing in and out in a certain stance. He's great at that. That's been his one thing everybody complimented on and talked about since he's come in. So that's ridiculous. So Spence is just absurd. Another thing, that $55 million is Canelo's money. That money doesn't exist without Canelo. The PBC doesn't have it. Listen, you know what I mean? Like, the reason why they didn't offer Spence, profit any money, we don't want to insult him, meaning we don't have the kind of cash that would even interest him. If the fact that Tom, Swizzle there said, Tim Swizzle, that we didn't want to insult him, so we didn't even offer him anything. And the reason they have to put everything on pay-per-view because they don't have the money to, you know, to put it on themselves. So they can offer Canelo $55 million because it's his own money, because he set 73,000 people in the stadium, right, Bucho? We talked about that.
They act like the PBC has $100 million in the PBC vault somewhere. I mean, no. The fuck are these people talking about?
It's the same thing.
It's not. Sorry.
No, it's okay. You finish, Jimmy. It's okay.
Oh, no, I'll come in after you.
So it's like when Wilder was offering $50 million to AJ, the first thing Eddie Hearn said was, well, do you have it? And he got crickets back. You know, the fight can generate that much. That's great. So we believe it can. But when you're making an offer, it's backed by something you have to offer. And then you make money back up on the back end. I mean, I'm not even a businessman in boxing, but I know that much. You're not offering hypothetical money. If you're guaranteeing it, you're either guaranteeing someone that you are anticipating the fact that there's a possibility, slim possibility, that you could get a loss if people don't tune in, or you know for a fact that it's going to sell well. But that's not a guarantee. That's what the PBC does. They guarantee Spence like $2 to $3 million up front, and then it's back in money after that. And the words that his fans overlook is always "could make up to." Are those key words? Depending on how the fight sells. So if you're offering, like you said, I'm wrapping up. It's just like you said.
Oh, sorry.
This money it's Canelo's money because he's the one generating it. But there's no offer of like backed money that's been secured in a vault, like Bucho said, ready to be paid out, and then they just reap their rewards back in from the sell on the other end. They're offering hypothetical money.
Jimmy?
Exactly. And that's the reason why with DAZN it's guaranteed because all the fights, you know, they guarantee their money to him, and so he got guaranteed money, X amount, whatever it was, $100 million if he does these fights. It's not conducive on pay-per-view. It's not conducive on fucking people in the stands. There was no money up front. It would have been paid after the fight, after they divvied it up. So that, again, it's like saying some dude comes to you and says, fucking, you know, here's a Ferrari, sell it for me. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? No, I don't want to. That's a stupid analogy. I was going to do that one. But so that's what it is. They're going to get him to come in and fight, get all the pay-per-view money, the ticket sales, and then give him $55 million out of it. And then hoping there'd be another at least $55 million for themselves. But that's all it is. When you hear that they're offering Canelo $55 million, just saying, we'll give you $55 million of the money you bring in, because we just saw what Spence brought in. Okay, he did decent. They weren't very expensive tickets. They'd be a lot more expensive if he was fighting Canelo there. But he did his lowest pay-per-view numbers of all. They've gone down steadily. So that pay-per-view would have been 100% or 90% on Canelo's shoulders. So again, it's money he's bringing in. So that's a joke. And let's talk about skills. Charlo went the distance with Juan Montel and was getting touched by him. And here's the fucking cold hard facts on that dude. He's a counterpuncher. He's a 1-2 counterpuncher with moderate power and fucking decent athleticism. That's all it is. There's nothing special about him. Nothing that Canelo hasn't seen. And neither him, Benavidez, or Spence is that slick type of fighter they're talking about. No. Right. That type of fighter would be Andrade.
He started talking about Lara, how he struggled against Lara, and like you're saying, like Canelo struggled against movers and against slick fighters like Mayweather. But like you're saying, Spence is nowhere near. He doesn't have that style. Nope. Neither does fucking Charlo. So these guys are fucking insane.
Nope. Can I say something here?
These guys are insane. I don't know what they just want to prove a point without actually proving it. It's ridiculous.
Right. Sorry about the Butchix. I didn't know if you were done.
And I want to mention again that they were talking about Eddie Reynoso. Remember, he made a comment about the African American style, and he said it was a complicated style.
Right.
And the LDBC on they understood that comment as if like Eddie Reynoso was saying that he was avoiding that style.
Well, that's what they want to hear.
Him and his fighters were avoiding that style, which doesn't make sense. And then they started talking about Valdez. You saw what happened against Shakur. Like again, this channel, most of us picked Valdez to win. To lose that fight. We didn't give Valdez really a chance. And Valdez, by the way, people were saying, people after the fight, people were saying, Valdez was exposed by Shakur. I'm like, did you actually see Valdez's fight before the Shakur Stevenson fight against Constantino, I think he was
Exactly.
exposed right there. So these guys don't know shit about boxing.
Well, I wanted
That's why
to
they
say
don't want to come
something
here
else.
and debate.
Yeah, well, exactly, Bucho. That's what I wanted to say about that. That they don't want to listen. First of all, shout out to Amak PvP for his contribution with the super chat. He says, "Shout out to the Learning Disability Boxing channels." Ah, come on. Well, listen. Shout out to Amak PvP. I'm not gonna be that mean spirited, but I will say that a lot of those guys, they're nothing but a bunch of Philistines and dilettantes when it comes to boxing. Because, like Bucho said, either they're feigning ignorance or they really are ignorant. I mean, to bring the Shakur Stevenson versus Valdez fight as a sort of proof that Andre or Charlo or Spence would beat Canelo is asinine. They're completely different fighters.
It's a fallacy, man.
Yeah, and you know what else? These people always talk about capping and cloud chasing. He be cloud chasing. That's what they always say. Well, if you look at some of the titles of these people, what they were saying the day after Stevenson Valdez was Stevenson beats Canelo team member Valdez. So they just added that part, the Canelo, in order to be able to say Shakur beats Canelo. I mean, they're insane. I got to tell you, I got to really question their IQ right there, man.
Yeah, that's...
Something else comes up when people start talking about slick black fighters or just African descendant fighters altogether. They pick certain fighters when it suits that narrative, i.e. Lara, or for that matter, even though he's not slick, Felix Trinidad. So if we were to bring up Felix Trinidad and beating black fighters, they would say, yeah, but he's black too. Because we're having that conversation. But if we bring it up in the other way, well, he's Puerto Rican. People of that, and I'm not saying the LDBC specifically does this, but because you guys know I have numerous conversations on different platforms with people about boxing all the time. So when I'm having these debates, people that usually do that will pick someone like that of the ethnicity, of the skin color to fit an ethnicity when it suits them. But when it doesn't, they'll drop them.
Very interesting. That's
absolutely
Trinidad
will only be black if they need him to be.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish your point.
My finished point is that like Trinidad and Lara will only be black if they need them to be. Otherwise,
yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, absolutely. When they're not African American at all. Like, I mean, I never considered Trinidad African American. I mean, he was a Puerto Rican, in my opinion. He was a Puerto Rican. I just want to say that even Shakur, after the Valdez fight, said, I forgot exactly what, but he said he beat Canelo in a way because he beat Valdez, who's trained by Eddie Reynoso. So there's an obsession. There's some sort of obsession with Canelo at this point. I think they're obsessed because their careers are not going the same direction as Canelo's career. They want to be superstars, but they can't. You know, they can't because they're part of the PBC, or they're tied in with Floyd Mayweather, who can't fucking promote shit.
Or they're just
right?
not that
so
entertaining.
These guys have something against it. Yeah, go ahead.
I just said they're not as entertaining. That's all I wanted to add.
Oh, well, get down, buddy. No. Oh my God, it's so insane. It's all it is. It's driven from jealousy because he's the face of boxing and they can't stand it. And I don't remember anybody throwing it in like the LDBC face. I mean, I don't remember seeing videos being made about it when Chris Colbert just got really exposed, or when Gary Russell Jr., the longest reigning PBC champion, got beat. You know what I mean? Like, so they're going to cherry pick another fight. Well, look what Shakur did. Like, oh my God, it's so absurd. And then Shakur even said that's like, I beat Canelo. Like, come on, dude. Are you serious right now? It's crazy. And it's all driven from jealousy. They're just jealousy, and they hate the fact that Canelo's the face of boxing. I don't know why it drives them crazy. Like, who gives a fuck? You know what? I'll tell you what. Instead of standing there waiting to fucking mooch off somebody's legacy and talk about glory snatching, because again, that's all this is. Hey, fucking Canelo's having a fight, taking on another undefeated world champion. You know what I mean? And so what do? Let's get our names in there somehow. Let's get a story talking about, that's all it is. They're tying Charlo's and tying Spence's name. They're just riding his coattails again because fucking, yeah, dude, it's mind-boggling. Like you said, low IQ type shit.
Well, you know what? It's also interesting that it takes us back to the Errol Spence saga that we're in, because I don't know if you guys remember back in 2019, after he beat Mikey Garcia, he outboxed a lightweight. Couldn't stop him. Canelo, when he fights smaller guys, he stops him. And, some people could say, well, Mikey Garcia has heart. He has heart. Yeah, but if you're the bigger guy, you beat the heart out of him. Or you knock him out with one shot, which is what Canelo did. Spence couldn't do it. But I remember after that win, I don't know if you guys remember that, but we would have people in the chat room and all that, some of them saying, well, Errol Spence could move up to 160 and beat Canelo. Or, at worst, they were saying he could give him a competitive fight. Then, lo and behold, he runs into Sean Porter, and he goes 12 rounds. He goes into Daniel Garcia. He goes 12 rounds. All of a sudden, that power just ain't as impressive. And you know what? It's the same criticism that they lobbied against Triple G. Whoa, as soon as he stepped up against Jacobs and Canelo, he went 12 rounds. Well, what do they like to say? Keep the same energy. That's what you got to do with Errol Spence. And as a final note about Errol Spence, we gave him credit for that performance against Ugas. That was a very, very, very strong and brutal performance. But he's a welterweight, or essentially he's a junior middleweight. And some people could say, yeah, but so you've been saying that Errol Spence is something of a middleweight. So why wouldn't he fight Canelo? Well, because Canelo's a natural light heavyweight too, as well, when he's walking around in weight. You know what I mean? In other words, if we were doing same-day weigh-ins, everyone would have to move up 1 or 2 weight divisions. That's all I'm saying.
Minimum.
Right. And I'm on. So to piggyback a little bit of what Jimmy was saying about Spence a little bit ago, and we're talking about like how we think he would fare in this mythical challenge that I'm not really sure the validity of it to it, but Jimmy is like, he was said specifically, and he was correct, he was stunned numerous times in that fight against a welterweight whose knockout percentage is 37%. 37. You know what? Yeah. You know what? Let's see here. Let's look at Sean Porter staggered him around. Less than 50%. He's getting staggered by guys whose punching power at welterweight is below the 50% mark. And now you're going to move him up to go fight a heavy-fisted guy. Now, Canelo's power, to me, I won't say is a myth, but it's up and down. It used to be, especially at the lower weights, if it was a Matthew Hatton, he was knocking him out. But if it was a Laurie, he's going the distance. That's changed a little bit now that he's gotten bigger and grown into his man body. But it's still not one-punch power. He beats you down like Spence did to Ugas. But now you're talking about a guy whose game plan is attrition, moving up to a thicker-bodied, physically strong man, matching him at his game plan when you're not even knocking out junior welterweights and featherweights, and you think you're going to beat this guy. I mean, we know we talk about this, about the triangle theory doesn't always work, but it does make sense, especially when you're talking about moving up in weight. I don't see the argument.
No, and can I say too, with Mickey Garcia, like 31 out of his 40 prior fights before the Spence fight was at 130 or below.
Oh.
Most of them at 126. So we're talking, that's like crazy. And I mean, and then he went down to 135. So he did come up 2 weight classes, and the size disparity was much greater than what Lomachenko and Rigondeaux was. And Lomachenko got crucified for that fight. Even he said himself, I'm not counting, no big deal, but they still went at him, even though, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, but they crowned Spence off that beating Mickey Garcia. He was the face of boxing, 340,000 pay-per-views. And it was like, okay, but you're not even, like they say, keep the same energy. You didn't, how is that a coronation when the other one was a cherry pick? And it's just, and so, yeah, no, the power isn't there. It's not the one-shot power. It's a beat-you-down power. But with the way Canelo fights now, too, though, it's different. Like you said, Chief, he fights not just with the size. He's fighting different. He's winging them body punches now like he never did before. He's throwing weight over his front foot like he never did before. He tried to box Lara. That was the problem. He tried to box Floyd Mayweather. Now he's realized as he gets older, you get wiser. He realizes what his game is. I can take a good shot so I can fucking put myself close enough eventually to catch them. And I can fucking hurt them. And that's been his mindset ever since Triple G. And that's will be the way he'll fight until he's done fighting. But Gonzalo, what do you say, brothers? Is he still here?
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. That's basically the most important point of all. The way he's throwing his punches and the different style that he's facing these guys. Instead of boxing them, he's intending to punch. Instead of like just boxing, he's punching with power and he's applying the pressure. And not only just barging forward, but intelligent pressure with the waist movement to be able to slide to the side or turn under and around and generate the torque that you need on your hooks. So, yeah, man.
And you know what, man? I suspect that some of these people are going to try to be slick, no pun intended, and they're going to try to say, well, we're not saying Errol Spence can beat Canelo. We're just saying he avoided him. But again, that makes little sense because, Gary Russell Jr. could challenge, I don't know, Josh Taylor or Errol Spence. And if Spence doesn't fight him, we're not going to say, well, he dogged Gary Russell Jr. It's a mismatch on paper. So why would you want to see that? Especially when Canelo's fighting an undefeated light heavyweight titleist who's barely lost a round against very good opposition. I mean, it's just on all sides, it doesn't make any sense. We're going to be opening up the phone line soon, by the way. So if anybody wants to call
in. BDA too, know another thing they're also saying? They're saying this is proof that Spence wasn't the one avoiding Crawford. Well, how could he be avoiding Crawford? He's willing to fight Canelo. Right. And it's hell and different world from going up 2 weight classes to get decapitated for 3 to 4 times more money than you'll ever make in your life than getting beat down by a dude that you're the A-side to, that a lot of your fans think you'll beat. That will affect your legacy. It's a win-win against Canelo. Right? He had balls to go up there. That's all that matters. And he made big bank. He loses to Terrence Crawford. That's a completely different animal. So it's not the same thing.
Well, you know what? You guys mentioned, you specifically, Jimmy, mentioned about the Errol Spence chin. I don't know what to make of his chin yet, because that was weird in the Ugas fight. I'd never seen him. I mean, Garcia hits harder than Ugas, I believe. And Garcia only had him in slight trouble in the last 10 seconds when he went all out and pushed him into the corner, but he never staggered him or had him doing the baby deer dance. So what happened?
Sean Porter did. Sean Porter did. His knockout percentage is under 50%.
But which round are you talking about? Because I don't remember him staggering him.
Okay, let me take back my words. He stunned him into the ropes. But when Sean Porter would go against the ropes and Spence would beat on him, he would fight his way off, pivot around, and nail Spence with either a right or a hook, and that right would force Spence into the ropes, and then he would brace himself up against the ropes. Now, that may not be a quote-unquote stagger. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But he was stunned pretty solid by a guy whose knockout ratio is under 50%.
Well, listen, it also has to do with Ugas. With Ugas, he probably doesn't hit as hard as Danny Garcia, but since he wasn't letting his hands go, he was able to throw the power that he had in his reserves, basically, by staying kind of fresh. That the only punches that he threw with a lot of power. So basically, you're keeping your reserves as far as like you're not throwing a lot of punches. So you have power in your battery bank, so to speak. So
energy maybe, power no.
Yeah,
he was throwing every punch with bad intentions because he knew he wasn't going to land much. So when he did throw, I agree with Gonzalo. I think he was putting more on him than he normally would.
It's just like when a fighter's it's like when a fighter's fresh, like a Caleb Plant or Dimitri Andrade, they can get the knockdown. But once they're not fresh no more, they can't. So basically, he's remaining fresh, but not throwing punches. But when he does, he puts the energy that he has to be able to deliver those, because he's not really tired. He's just waiting for you to throw.
True, but even when he does that, he doesn't have power. He just doesn't. At the world class level, he fought a 40-plus-year-old fighter who'd been off for 2 years. And I don't remember how many times, I don't remember a single stagger he gave Manny Pacquiao. He knocked him off balance, but I don't remember a single stagger he ever did to Manny Pacquiao. So, I'm sorry. Ugas, power, those two words don't belong in the same sentence.
Well, I mean, if the argument is Crawford hits harder than Ugas, therefore he's going to have Spence in trouble, that's a good argument. On the flip side to that coin is the fact that Crawford's been hurt himself before, once by Gamboa and by Cavaliuskas. There might have been other instances, I forget, but he's open to punches too. So that's why I'm very excited for this fight. But listen, this fight, we haven't even had an indication that it's been negotiated. So let's not talk about that, especially when we have another big fight coming up this Saturday, and that's Canelo versus Bivol. I got to tell you, fellas, my take on this, because I've been mentioned this before. I think Bivol is going to outbox him. I don't think he's going to school him, if your definition of schooling is that he's going to wash him or just completely beat him up. I just think he's going to be one step ahead of Canelo throughout the 12 rounds. And I do think he's going to get the decision. What's that?
These people are so stupid. They're so stupid that if Bivol was black, they'd be saying that his style is African American.
Well, they say Charlo's an African American style, even though he doesn't fight with his hands down. He doesn't move around the ring. He's not moving the upper body that much. But yeah, so let's get into it. The Bivol fight, and I'm gonna be opening up the phone lines at the same time here. So you guys take over and let me know what you think about the Bivol versus Canelo fight.
Well, it's toughest opponent to date since Triple G, not in punching power, but just his movement, like you said, BDA, it's going to give him fits. He's going to have to try to hunt him down. That's what it's going to be. And Bivol's an intelligent guy. He knows the game. You know, he comes at it in a very pragmatic way. He knows his limitations. He knows he's not going to get in there in a firefight. And the thing with him, he don't give a fuck if he hears boos. You know what I mean? He won't care if he's putting on a boring fight. If he just tags him and outpoints him every round, he'd be fine with that. He'll not try to bring it to the fucking, to the middle of the ring. But anyways, next.
Oh, you're right. You're right. He doesn't care about the entertainment factor. That's why I don't like watching him. But now that he's fighting Canelo, we got to watch him, right, Gonzalo?
Well, he's not that boring. I think he's pretty exciting when he lets his hands go. He's a master of distance, and every time he moves, he throws punches and bunches. And he won't just necessarily keep it to a jab and a straight right hand. He'll throw hooks, and that right hook has got some power, and that right cross to the body, that's got some power too. I think that's might be his hardest punch, the right cross to the body and right hook upstairs. Mm-hmm. We got right cross to the body and right hook upstairs. Then he'll throw combinations. So if he wants to throw heavy, let's say you want to go heavy, and maybe in the beginning of the fight, you want to get too brazen, and you want to put a lot of pressure on him. He'll throw heavy with you to kind of keep you back. But as soon as he's kind of established and let you know that he's got power, he'll start unloading more combinations to start winning the rounds. So not only is he keeping you from really stepping into him, because he'll make a statement by throwing a hard shot every now and then to let you know, hey man, I got power. But then he also revert to instead of throwing with power, he'll throw in combinations, but not just combinations that are meaningless. Combinations with power. But with that being said, he's applying. He's becoming a boxer puncher in the fight and adjusting to the power that you have. That where if he thinks he can deal with you, he'll start boxing more. And winning the rounds, because he's probably not going to knock you out with one shot, but nonetheless, he's still a very imminent threat to where it's power and boxing, and then he's basically dominating his opponents. Lately, he tends to get in a rhythm where he's getting caught, when he gets too complacent. Not that he's getting tired, because he'll come back and win the latter rounds, but he gets a little too complacent, and that's when you can catch him. But yeah, it's an interesting fight.
Excellent points. Excellent breakdown right there from Gonzalo. Don't forget to hit the like button. Hit the like. Shout out to John Gonzalez for his contribution with the super chat. Shout out to you, John. I know he doesn't like me to call him Juanito, so I'll just stay at John Gonzalez. Shout out to John. And anyone else want to go up? Oh, by the way, the phone lines are open. So call in, give us your views on this whole Spence Canelo fight and the Canelo Bivol fight.
I was just going to say that Bivol, to Gonzalo's point, that kid can hit too. It's not like he's feather-fisted, you know what I mean? And he's a light heavyweight. So he's going to he'll hit, I would imagine, as hard as just about anybody he's fought, if not harder. And we've seen him rocked. He was rocked by, wasn't it Cotto's brother? Really had him goofy-legged back in the early days before his neck grew the size of my thigh. But so, you know what I mean? But we'll see what Bivol can do, because that kid, if he catches, say if he sees something because what's going to happen, I would imagine, by the 5th or 6th round, that's when you start seeing frustration coming out in Canelo, and he might make a mistake coming in, because he's going to be very, very cautious at first, mostly just trying to read Bivol's distance and his timing, to know when he can jump in with that left hook and stun him, and then go to work, get him caught against the ropes. And but doing that, in the meantime, he could get lazy, because if he gets lulled into chasing him, he could get caught with something. And Bivol has the size and strength, I believe, to stun him. So
yeah, that's a good point. You and Gonzalo are on point about the power. Look at how he dropped Castillo with that counter right. Look at how he stopped Sullivan Barrera. Andrew Ward couldn't do it. And so, yeah, Bivol can crack. The only thing, like I said, the reason why I call him boring is because sometimes he gets complacent. And even when he has a guy technically out of class, he won't take it to the other level. And also, he's not a big hooker to the body. He can hook to the body. He, like Gonzalo said, he also goes to that to the body with a straight right. But overall, he's more of a hit you upstairs fencing kind of guy.
And didn't he, Joe Smith say he hits hard too? I believe Joe Smith said that. What's that, Gonzalo?
Oh yeah, and those dudes are devastating punchers. Like they're for that division. Those fighters are at where they belong. Like they're tall, they're lanky, they're big. Like Sullivan Barrera, like Joe Smith Jr. Man, those dudes can crack. And if you're in there exchanging punches with those guys, that means that you believe in your power, but you can also take a punch that, man, it's not easy because those guys are big. But yeah, that's where it might get a little difficult if he starts getting a little too complacent in that rhythm, where instead of trying to throw heavy, he starts throwing too much. Then Canelo's basically going to close that distance, and he's probably going to catch you with something pretty hard back to the body. Mm-hmm. So that might take something out of Bivol, and we'll see what Canelo does after that. Because like punch for punch, I think the activity that Bivol brings it's too much. Where he will end up throwing more punches than Canelo could ever throw in that division. Because Canelo, he's more muscle pound. He's obviously throwing less than he was in 54, 60, and 68. But Bivol, he throws more punches than any light heavyweight or any other fighter in that division. That it just comes natural to him. The fast flow, the free flowing style for a tall man, like for a guy that's 6 foot that belongs in that division, it's just like a natural thing. He's not having to load up at all. So we'll have to see.
That's an excellent point, man. That's an excellent point. He had to really break Plant down, hit him whatever he could. And I don't know if Bivol's going to... I'll put it this way. I'll be surprised if Bivol stands on the ropes with that Philly shell defense and just tries to roll with the shots. That's not his style. Listen, he's got better footwork than Caleb Plant. And that's saying something because Caleb Plant's foot... Say what you want about him as a fighter overall, but that footwork, he's got pretty good and quick feet. So... I'm really giving Bivol credit for the feet. Canelo, though, good defense, so he's probably going to fly under the radar a little bit, try to plant some bombs in there. All right, let's go to the phone lines real quick here, fellas. Again, don't forget, please, if you're on the phone, try to speak as loudly as you can, avoid using a Bluetooth, and be concise with your comments, all right? Because we got to move on quickly to other phone calls as well. So let's go to 678. You're on the air, 678. What's on your mind?
Yeah, just a real quick point, man. I think it's awesome we're hearing the dream team on the panel today. So big ups to everybody on the panel. Right. One thing that I want to say, it's funny that the LDBC channels are talking shit, but then you see Devin Haney and his dad tripping over each other, trying to get a picture with Canelo. I feel like that needs to be all these slick fighters are always on Canelo's dick about everything in person, but the channels are the ones talking shit.
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, it's amazing. But again, like I gotta give it up to some of the comments that I read in that video in the comment section. They were saying, "Look, listen, we disagree." So they're not all, like I said, they haven't all drunk the flavor. What else, Soothsayer? What else you got, man?
Yeah, lastly, man, I see the point now. I shouldn't back shitty Mexican fighters like Valdez because now they can use that against us. So I'm gonna stick with the top tier guys.
Well, you got to give Shakur Stevenson credit too. I mean, yeah, Conceição beat Valdez, but Shakur Stevenson at least proved that he's not a overrated guy. I mean, he was good enough to beat Valdez, so you got to give him credit for that. Anything else you want to say, Soothsayer, before we move on?
That's it, man. Great show, great panel. Keep it up.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Take it easy, Soothsayer. Yeah, he said dream team, but I haven't talked to Recognize in a while. I haven't been able to get in contact with him, so I wonder who he would be picking for this fight. Any of you talked to him lately?
Negative. I haven't.
Fuck. All right.
Well, Soothsayer, though, can I just say, Soothsayer, just remember this, Bam Rodriguez. If anybody wants to start talking about, you know what I mean, who's talented, all-around talent, just say that name.
There you go. It. Yeah, that's a good investment right there. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Don't forget to hit the like. 559, you're on the air. 559, what's on your mind? 559, you're on the air.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, indeed, sir. What's on your mind?
Oh no, I just wanted to speak on this fight right here. You know, I'm on the channel right now and I'm listening to you guys. You know, I boxed all my life. You know what I mean? And I follow all these fighters here. You know, and I think Bivol has a real good chance against Canelo. You know, I truly believe, because I've been following Canelo. He tends to gas out around like in the championship round. So if Bivol can stay in there, you know, and just fight his own fight, he has a real good chance of beating Canelo. Because honestly, Canelo never won that fight against Triple G. He lost the first fight.
Oh.
You know, and I don't know what boxing is coming to nowadays, but you know, I guess there's people out there that favor fighters, you know, because he lost that fight, you know, and ever since then, you know what I mean, I like Canelo, he's good and all that, but you know, he's picking and choosing the guys he wants to fight and thinking that he can beat this guy too. I hope this guy just beats him, and you know, so he can put him in his place, and you know, so he just go back to where he belongs, man.
All right. Well, we got a caller who believes Canelo's been picking and choosing. All right, but so what's your official prediction there, caller?
I'm picking because you know what, I've been just in my mind and in my heart, because you know how they say you go with your first instinct, you know, because you know you always hear people say, oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that. You see, you're damn right you knew. You know what I mean? Because our subconscious mind tells us, and my subconscious mind is telling me that Bivol's going to get his hand raised.
Interesting.
He's going to find a way to win that fight. I just truly feel in my heart he's going to win this fight, and I like his attitude because you know he was saying that Canelo's training hard for you. He trains with heavyweights, and he made a comment saying, "Hey, I don't care if he was training with what do you call those with aliens." He goes, "It doesn't mean nothing." You know, he goes, I know myself. That's what I like about a person. You have to know yourself as a fighter. You know, believe in yourself, and you know, and you're gonna find a way to win. And Canelo has that in him too. But I don't know. I don't think Canelo's he's gonna struggle in this fight, man. And if he can catch Bivol, though, I'm pretty sure he could probably hurt him. But I've seen Bivol hurt and come back, and don't think that he don't fight. You know what I mean? He says, if I have to punch hard, he goes, I'll punch hard, and that's what I think he's going to do. You know what I mean? It's going to get to a point where he's going to put him in his place, and don't be surprised if he stops him or hurt him.
All right. Well, listen, that's a sensible call right there and some good advice. So shout out to you, 559. Call back next time, all right, man? Take it easy.
Okay, you have a nice day. Thank you.
You too, man. Take it easy. Yeah, that's it. Sometimes you gotta go with your instinct, man. That's what I like to tell people too. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Let's go to 214 here. 214, you're on the air. 214, what's on your mind? 214, you're on the air. What's on your mind?
Oh, well, as for Bivol versus Canelo, I do think Bivol's going to win, but you know, I don't have any bad feelings for Canelo. I just don't think this is his weight class. That's all. I think that he's going to run. He ran into a guy who can box, who's got fast hands, and Canelo loads up a lot, and Bivol doesn't need to load up. He can just shoot the punch. And he throws more than one punch. He's very good with distance, and I think that Bivol can win this. I got it like at least 70-30. Bivol wins this.
Interesting.
And as for the Spence thing, you know, Spence fans are the second most retarded fans in boxing.
Oh,
you know, they believe Spence can do anything. I'm like, I don't believe that Spence can come up here and beat Canelo, and he's not ducking him. He's a welterweight champion, for crying out loud.
Sensible points right there, caller. Sensible points right there. I can't argue with you. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
You know, if he does lose, maybe we can. If Canelo does lose, maybe we can see some of these fights that, you know, the LDBC, you know, they clamor so much for. You know, I'm not against those fights either. I just don't claim that Canelo's afraid of these guys.
That's right. Because I mean, listen, the guy went in the 24 rounds with Gennady Golovkin. I doubt he's scared of Andre Charlo and welterweight Errol Spence. But anyway, listen, 214. Excellent call. Call back next episode, right, man? Take it easy. Thank you for calling in.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go to 504 here. 504, you're on the air. 504, what's on your mind?
All right, you can hear me?
Yes, indeed, sir.
Wonderful, wonderful. Hey, man, best channel on YouTube for boxing. Right here. BDA.
Thank you, man. Sure. Thank you. That's high praise, man.
But, yeah, no, definitely, man. No doubt. But yeah, man, I've been studying this fight for so long. Like, I mean, this is, and especially since it was announced, I've been studying it for so long. And I'm just, you know, this is the thing. Bivol, because, you know, especially with the Russian, you know, Ukraine situation going on, he's probably not going to get, I just don't see on Cinco de Mayo weekend, you know, I just don't see them giving him a decision. I mean, I just don't. But I do think it'll be, if he does win, it'll be a draw. But if we're going, you know, let's say everything was fair, blah, 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 going into the fight, I think Bivol stylistically is just the worst possible matchup, you know, for Canelo. And I think, and people don't realize this, but CompuBox has Bivol #1 in plus minus. And that's above that, and that means, you know, hit and not getting hit. CompuBox has Bivol ranked #1 statistically as far as his opponents being able to hit him, or him being able to hit his opponents and not be hit back. He's #1. That's above Lomachenko, Canelo, Shakur, anybody you could think of. Bivol is #1. Like, the respect needs to get put on this dude's name. Like, dude, his opponents are hitting him at 12%. They have a 12% connect, like, you know, landing shots on him. Like, that's crazy. And this is who Canelo's going to fight. So, you know, Bivol, he's like a master of that in and out movement, being able to hit you. And then when you throw, he just takes that slight step back to get out of range. And so with Canelo's style, this new walk down style that he has, you know, Canelo, he can struggle with jabs, and he does not have the fastest feet in the world, you know, so he's going to have to, and the thing about Bivol, this is the biggest thing, because I know I don't have a lot of time. This is the biggest thing. Canelo's previous opponents,
you're making excellent points, brother. Keep talking. You're making excellent points.
Right?
Right.
Hello?
Yeah, you're still in there.
Yeah. They ran from Canelo all night, right? And then in the later rounds, Plant, you know, Kovalev, whoever, they'll gas themselves out, right, running from him all night. And then once they become stationary and they're up against the ropes against Canelo, you're dead. You know, you're running from him all night, you gas yourself out, and then you're up against the ropes, you're dead. Bivol will not do that. Bivol doesn't run from anybody. He didn't run from Joe Smith, and Joe Smith is one of the hardest punchers in the sport. He didn't run. He will stand right in front of you. When you throw, he'll back just out of range, and then he'll go in. And so, and then the other thing is, he's not going to get tired either.
That's
because you look at that point. Joe Smith fight, that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. At the 12th round, with the clicks, you know, going, Bivol said, "Okay, you know what? I'm gonna unleash a 20-punch combo and almost put Joe Smith on the floor." You know, at the end of the fight, like, this dude is just a different breed, man. And I think, I'm serious, Canelo is in trouble for real.
Oh man, listen, that's about as good a breakdown as we've heard here on the phone lines, man. You're absolutely right, man. Bivol is a bad stylistic matchup, and I gotta tell you, we'll see what happens on Saturday because I am intrigued. Anyway, 504, great call, man, and we'll catch you in the next one, right, man?
All right, bet, brother.
All right, take it easy, man.
Right.
Yeah, great breakdown, man. Sorry about that, Jimmy. What'd you say?
Oh no, the statistics, man. When a caller calls in with like stuff like we don't know, that's great. Like he told us, like I didn't know he was #1 ranked, and you know, hit and not get hit. That's fascinating. I didn't know that.
To be fair, Jimmy, the light heavyweight division.
How you doing, buddy?
Sorry, boys, for not introducing myself. I'm driving, so I thought I'd quickly get in here. Yeah, to be fair, though, the light heavyweight boys, you know, there's not a lot of guys with any foot speed or any decent footwork, and you know, it's. I can see why that stat is there, because when you look at the light heavyweight division, it's pretty poor, to be fair. It used to be a solid division, but it's not the division it used to be anymore. And when you look at the fighters, I mean, a lot of them are flat-footed, you know, stroll forward. A lot of them don't even have any head movement. One thing about Canelo, he's arctic clean. I agree with the corner with his footwork being a bit slow, but he's cutting off the ring a lot better than he did. I mean, when he fought Floyd, he just chased him around like a fucking lovesick teenage girl, didn't he? But he's obviously got a lot better closing the ring down, and yeah, I mean, Bivol's got his work cut out as well. Don't you worry about that. You know, and you're not really going to beat Canelo on the run. I don't think. I think you're going to have to stick it to him. And you know, it's when he's hanging around there throwing combinations when Canelo gets them counter shots in. Because for me, Canelo's the best counter puncher in boxing, or one of them at least. And you know, so Bivol has to work. He has to get his shots off, and that's when Canelo will catch him. So we'll see. Like I said, it's got a lot of size difference as well. But you know, maybe Bivol has got good footwork, but it's footwork against slow little podders. What's this fucking guy doing here, man?
Don't drive like.
This guy's behind me. Right up my arse. I fucking sing left him.
All right.
But anyway, yeah, that's my point, really. That's my point. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's a 50-50 fight for me. I mean, Canelo, yeah, again, taking challenges. I'd like to see some of the other fighters in boxing do that. But yeah, that's where I am.
All right, that's a good thing. Oh shit, Stu, are you okay? No, I'm kidding. All right.
That was you, was it? All right.
Yeah.
But you know what? He also brought up an excellent point, that caller, 504. He also said with the political, with the environment right now, with everybody kind of anti-Russian, I didn't even think of that. What happens if these judges were like kind of, oh, fuck Russians? You know what I mean? I'm just saying. I didn't even think of that.
Wouldn't surprise me.
There's no way that happened in the Kovalev Ward first fight. I'm pretty sure that's why the judges didn't give the fight to Andre Ward, because Kovalev was a Russian. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, there was also the Jay Prince factor. The Jay Prince.
What happened in the 80s too? The South African fighters wouldn't come here. They had to go to France to get fights because the apartheid was the association of being from the same country is from that. You couldn't even fight over here. You had to go to France in order, like Brian Mitchell had to make a career fighting in France because he couldn't fight in his own home country and he wouldn't come over here.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 202. You're on the air. 202. What's on your mind?
What's going on, VDA?
What's up, man?
Hey, man, that's what I love, Stu. Stu just pointed out something that I was just going to mention myself. Like, him fighting Canelo is going to be totally different because, I mean, like, he's not coming against somebody that's he's going to be light years faster than. And the reason why I think that Canelo is going to win this fight is because Bivol fights very wide, and Canelo's going to have a field day going to that body. I mean, like, I think in probably the first 4 rounds, you'll see Bivol, taking advantage, using, like some of his skill sets to his advantage, like that, being able to move, around the ring and move his his foot movement. But I think Canelo's going to capitalize on him having that wide stance, and that body is just going to be open for the taking for Canelo.
That's an interesting point, man, about the stances there. I hadn't thought about that. It very well could be, because that's the thing, though. Canelo's going to have to work the body. If he wants to get the stoppage or wants to wear Bivol down and score enough points to get a win, that body's going to be right there. So we'll see if that materializes. Anything else you want to say, 202, before we move on?
As far as the PBC offering Canelo that fight, I mean, I think it's one that should have been taken. I don't know. I mean, I'm at the same time, I'm not the biggest Canelo fan either. I'm not really sold on this fight. Like, I think that it's probably going to be a lot easier of a fight than what people think that it's going to be. I think that at this point, everything about Canelo is fake. I'm getting tired of this Irishman posing as a Mexican.
I mean, you're not the only one. There's a lot of people that have had enough. There's
I can't have that caller. I just can't have that. This guy, if he's got a padded record, then fucking God help us in boxing. Because the rest, I'd hate to discuss the rest of these fucking fighters' records because it's like fucking chump season with most of them. And let's be real. We're talking about cherry picking Bivol. I mean, like ducking Charlo to fight Bivol. I mean, that's like me saying I'd chuck Beyonce out of my bed for Whoopi Goldberg. It just makes no fucking sense. Get out of here, man. Charlo, Canelo will fucking mutilate Charlo. Trust me, he will fucking mutilate Charlo. Bivol.
No. It's the African American style. It's the African American style he's avoiding.
Doesn't mean what closest thing. It's the closest thing is an African American style. All it is Floyd one of styles. That's what it is. Fucking con the public out of their fucking living, and get hit do as less work as you can, and get paid. Let's be real. That's all it is. And it's about African American style. Like fucking, you go through the history of boxing. Americans have got all sorts of styles. You telling me Sugar Ray fights like Hagler? No. You telling me Mike Tyson fights like Ali? No. There's no such thing. All it is, it's a Floyd Mayweather fucking imitation style, and most of them, let's be real, fucking hell. It's like a made in China. Half of these fucking guys are made in China, aren't they? Made in China versions.
Well, let's let. Hold on. Can I just say that we gotta let the caller reply because then we gotta move on. But caller, you want to reply to that can of worms you just opened, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, well, still. I won't even contribute to it like African American style or American style at all. I mean, I feel the same way about him fighting David Benavidez. I mean, like I take Benavidez in that fight, to be honest.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The thing is with Canelo, there's a lot of people that have always backed against Canelo, but there's a time in life when I used to do it with Floyd. Fucking whoever Floyd fought, I was like, yeah, you're the other guy. I just hate Floyd that much. I couldn't stomach to say that he'd win the fight, but in the end, you give up trying to find these guys to beat, and I think that's. I mean, Bivol's a much better fight than David Benavidez. What's Benavidez done to deserve a fight with Canelo?
Get stripped twice for testing positive for coke.
Well, now listen. We're getting into. Go ahead, Jimmy. Go ahead.
I'm talking in terms of his hand speed and his strength, his strength in his punches. Like he's just a massive guy with massive hand speed. I mean, like I haven't seen a guy like punch that fast at that big of a size since. I mean, like I'm probably gonna get flack for saying it, but I mean, like Muhammad Ali, like the guy has fast hands for like a guy his size.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah. That's true. And listen, we got to move on to another call, but I wish we could stay on this subject more. Caller, if you have the time, try to show up on Friday when we have the open panels. Okay. That way we can discuss this further, because it is a very good subject. As you can see, it gets people talking. Mm-hmm. So anyway, 202, good call, and we'll catch you on the next one, right, man?
All right.
BDA, all I was going to say, BDA, was if it's that easy, if it's just him jumping around cherry picking, then why didn't anybody else do it? Why didn't Charlo? Why didn't Benavidez do it?
I mean, if Canelo's a cherry picker, I'd hate to see what the rest of these guys are. Do you know what I mean? Jesus Christ. I mean, this is where we are in boxing. I mean, probably the only guy in boxing that's taken these risks. How many other guys do you know, like jumping up 2-3 divisions? Well, it's like maybe 2-3 divisions and fighting the best. He's just fighting some fucking guy, top 10. He's fighting probably one of the top 2 guy in the division. You know what I mean? All right, he's done a few chumps here and there, but they all have. I mean, let's be real. Golovkin's fought fucking hell, man. He should have a tomato factory. The amount of fucking tomatoes he's fought. I mean, no, well, he has any. Come on, man. I mean, let's be real. How can you compare the two? I mean, Canelo's got tremendous resume. I just don't understand the shit he gets because he fights. I mean, is it his fault that Callum Smith was a champion when he fought Callum Smith? No. Same with Billy Joe. These guys are like belt holders. It's not like he's just picking some fucking chump for a paycheck like Charlo. Do you know what I mean? I just can't stand it. I mean, if Canelo's a cherry picker, then God help us, boxing's finished. So just go look at the rest of it.
That's true. Now, Stu, I love you, but please don't take the Lord's name in vain on this show. That's uncalled for. All right, let's. We got to move on to
Hey, that reminds me. That reminds me. I was that fucking Discord. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning. Knackered I was. I fell asleep. Get woke up by you talking about the good Lord's word or something on Discord. I was like, fucking BDA, man. Let's go.
What? What are you talking about?
He's talking about me. The time difference when I sent my verses out was probably.
Okay.
My apologies, Stu. I'm not trying to wake you up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm just sending out the word to my friends.
No. I just you know, when you hear the tone go off, you think, oh, this is an emergency. This could be my missus, or this could be like my daughter. So now it's fucking BDA talking about the Lord's good work. So I need to get rid of this Discord.
All right. Well, listen, we've got to move on to other phone calls here. Let's go to 310. You're on the air. Through 310. What's on your mind?
What's up? Boom Boom Guy. Representing the LDBC. What's going on?
Like they
say. Yeah, about Canelo. So let me explain about Canelo. Am I coming in clear on the audio?
Loud and clear, yes.
All right. So, Canelo is definitely a good fighter, man. All respect goes to Canelo. Tank recognizes Canelo as a great champion, even though he was under Floyd Mayweather. He tried to wear Canelo gloves, against Pitbull Cruz. Mayweather had a problem with it, so he didn't wear it. But there's a lot of respect going to Canelo from black fighters because he's great. You can't argue that. So everybody has nicks on their, on their resume or movement, that people criticize. So Jamal Charlo was Canelo's mandatory. I don't think Canelo's scared of anybody. Just like anybody in boxing, you're a fighter. You're not scared to get hit. You're scared to lose. So I'm not saying Jamal Charlo, that was a guaranteed victory, but that was a tough fight for Canelo. And Canelo vacated his belt and got franchised, just like Lomachenko vacated his belt and got franchised. You basically said, look, I don't want to fight my mandatory. I'm going to do other things. Here's my belt. I don't want it anymore. That's what happened.
But boom.
Lomachenko did it, and Canelo did it. Hold on.
Okay, let's take it Canelo.
Let him finish.
All
right. So this Bivol fight, Canelo is good at strategically. Is not a cherry pick. He strategically picks his opponent. Still dangerous fight, but Bivol was he's seen something in Bivol that he can have success in. Still a dangerous fight. I think that's less dangerous than Demetrius Andre, Jamal Charlo, and Benavidez.
Get out of here, man. Get out of here.
Seriously.
I have Canelo winning this. Experience. All right.
One at a time.
Can I address that one?
We've got Dave Chappell on the phone. He's fucking comedian, man.
Well, can I just address this one thing? You say he dumped his belt or chased the franchise title to avoid his mandatory with Charlo. But why did Charlo? But let me finish. Why did Charlo turn down a career high payday to face him to the point? And this is not even my opinion. This isn't like one of those theories. This is an indisputable fact. His own brother went on Instagram to say, I would have never turned down that Canelo money. I never, you know me with my money. He went on a big spiel about it. His own people have not denied it. The only thing his defense was, I didn't see the contract. They took care of that behind my back. That was his thing, but yet his brother knew about it. So the fact is he was offered a career high payday, even higher money than he's never made up to this point, and he turned down the fight. So that right there takes the legs out of your opinion like that. I'm done.
All right, let me respond. It really doesn't, Jimmy. Because Canelo, you're the champion. I like Canelo. Canelo, you're the champion. Jamal Charlo is your mandatory. The fight is already booked. Mandatory means this is your next opponent. So what do? Let's see. I'm going to get franchised. I'm going to dump my WBC belt that I worked so hard for, and I'm not going to fight Charlo. Stop blaming Charlo for grabbing the belt. If the belt is the prize, that's not a duck. I had the belt, Canelo. That's what I wanted. Fuck the fight.
But did you not just hear what I just said? I mean, but hold on, brother. Did you not just hear what I just said? Why would you go trying to make a fight with a guy who already turned down a fight with them? Come on, dude. You're saying you like Canelo. Let's be reason. Let's talk with reason, not feelings. He turned down a fight.
Forget about who dropped the belt and who. Listen. Look at Charlo and his career. This guy lost to Korobov. He struggled against Montiel. Who the fuck's Montiel, right? And all of a sudden, you're telling me that Canelo is avoiding that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Let's get real here, man.
Let's get real. All right. If the goal was the WBC belt, don't blame Haney for taking the WBC belt. Once he was a mandatory to fight the champion, okay, the champion doesn't want to fight you. Here's the WBC belt. You've been the WBC champion ever since.
Fuck that shit. You need to hide behind these fucking belt arguments. Who gives a shit about the belts? Who gives a shit about the belts? Let's look at the fighters themselves. Who cares about who dropped the belt and the belt and this belt? We know they're full of shit. You don't trust whatever Suleiman says. I don't trust those rankings. I do not trust those rankings. You know they can be manipulated. Prove me wrong. And let's look at the fighters instead, all right? Let's look at the fighters. Again, I'm going to go back to Jermall Charlo. You know, he struggled against Korobov, probably should have lost that fight. He struggled against Montiel. All right, you mean to tell me that this guy is very dangerous and Canelo's avoiding him? Right? That's what you're saying. That's basically what you're fucking saying.
Look, let me respond. Canelo is a great fighter. I'm not saying these fighters are guaranteed to beat Canelo. Canelo, that was your mandatory. It was a big fight. And you say you don't care about the belt? Why do you want to be franchised? And Canelo, and the crazy thing is, you say Canelo don't care about the belts. He's chasing all the belts right now to become undisputed at the next divisions. Canelo's when it's all said and done, Canelo's going to be an all-time great. He is the face of boxing. I give him all respect. But let's look at your actions.
Yeah, but you're stuck
belt.
with the WBC belt. There's a difference between unifying all the titles and then just getting stuck in some conversation about a WBC franchise belt that shouldn't even exist. That's irrelevant. Let's look again. Let's look at the fighters. You said that Canelo's avoiding Charlo, and again, I go back to what I said earlier. Charlo's career is complete. It's not even that impressive. Okay, so you're telling me? Okay, so answer me this question: is Canelo avoiding the Jermall Charlo because he's dangerous and he might beat him?
Okay, all right. Oh, that's a dangerous fight. No, I'm not saying. I think Canelo is favored in that fight, but it's so close, it's dangerous. I think he's seen something in Bivol that said, hey, I can have success with this guy, even though that's a dangerous fight. But the people, you guys always disregard mandatory. I don't understand why you guys can't realize what a mandatory is.
No. What it is, bro, we're not just... What it is, you're saying that this is a dangerous fight. We're looking at this guy... lost to Korobov in all of our eyes. We watched the fight. He couldn't get to grips with Korobov. Matt Korobov, by the way. And you're talking about beating Canelo Alvarez. I mean, it's mind blowing. I can't just sit here and listen to this nonsense. All right, the fight hasn't happened yet. You never know. Boxing styles make fights. I get that. But if you think Canelo Alvarez is scared of getting in the ring with Charlo when he's fighting Bivol, put Charlo in with Bivol and watch what happens.
Oh so, just for fairness, I haven't heard the caller say that Canelo is scared of Charlo or them. I haven't heard him say that in his defense. I'm with the rest of them. Hold on. I'm still talking. I'm still talking, Stu. I'm still talking, Stu. I didn't hear him.
I'm just saying, innit? Dickhead.
Right back at you, buddy, and I love you too. But that's not the point. I'm still saying something. I didn't hear him say that he's afraid of him. He's trying to make a correlation that the rest of us don't agree with on it would be a dangerous fight based off of what we've seen. And that's where we do agree, Stu. We haven't seen anything from Charlo against the quality of competition he's faced to show anything that he's going to be anything more. Is he even going to not get frozen in the moment when he goes into his own stadium in Texas Stadium and is booed by over 90,000 people? You know, there's things to consider here.
He said clearly that Canelo is avoiding Charlo because it's a very difficult fight, and instead he's fighting Bivol because he saw something in Bivol that makes him believe that he's going to be able to defeat him. So
let me correct that point. Let me correct that point. When Charlo was Canelo's mandatory, yes, he avoided his mandatory. I'm not saying he's avoiding them now. He avoided his mandatory in that instance. You cannot. That's fact.
When was it?
Hey, Charlo's your mandatory. Guess what? I'm not fighting Charlo. That's what happened.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Or they said Charlo's your mandatory.
How
He
do you
said,
not
what? The kid
understand
I already
that?
offered career high money and he turned it down. And then I have to address another thing. It's not a big fight. That fight would still be 100% on Canelo. His biggest fight he's ever had on a pay-per-view barely cracked 100,000. And that's with inflated numbers. He doesn't pull in big numbers, either TV or at the gate. So it would be a complete on Canelo's back. And he doesn't bring anything at 168.
I hate to interrupt. But I gotta let Boom Boom give one last comment, and then we gotta move on because it's not fair to the other callers. We got other people waiting. But Boom Boom, last comment, please, and then we gotta move on to another call.
All right, Canelo is a cash cow. Anybody's fighting him is going to make money. Whether he's going to take the blunt of promotion because he's such a big name. Spence, that fight would be at a catch weight. Canelo would be a big time favorite, and I think the only way Spence takes that fight if he's close to retirement and he just wants a cash payout. But no, Spence should not take that fight. I got Canelo in that fight.
All right. Well, listen,
so that's
Boom Boom.
it. Boom Boom guy out. Don't
Hey, Boom Boom, take it easy, brother. You always bring it, man. You always bring it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Boom Boom. I was gonna say, bring some of your material on Open Lines Friday, man. That's all. It's all about chaos there. That's why you should bring that material there.
I be at work, man. I don't want to hop on and y'all hear machines all day, man. You know, the crane operator and all that stuff. So, you know, if I can get to a quiet place, I will.
All right, man. Take a day off.
All right.
And take a day off.
Don't dump your mandatory. Peace.
All right. Take it. All right, that was Boom Boom.
Let's take another phone call.
All right, let's take another phone call. Let's go to. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Actually, let me read 2 super chats here before I forget them. Shout out to Amak PvP for his super contribution with the super chat. He says PBC equals procrastinating boxers club. Shout out to Stu. Oh, Amak PvP with 2 zingers there, and a shout out to Stu. And also shout out to Amak PvP again for a second contribution with the super chat. He says Charlo became Triple G's Mando, not Canelo's. All right, well, I don't know about that, man, because I've lost track of all these styles. So shout out to Amek PvP. I'll take your word for it. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 301. You're on the air. 301. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up?
What's up, man?
Just some good callers. I want to echo praise y'all gave to, I think it was 540 or something. The guy was talking about the plus minus.
504. Yeah.
You know, I made the same point, actually, BDA, and you laughed at me when I mentioned that Bivol, he was Pernell Whitaker, the late Pernell Whitaker's favorite fighter. And you insinuated that Pernell Whitaker was probably punch drunk to think that.
Yeah, but, I was saying that because... well, go ahead, I was saying that as a joke because I find Bivol, even though I agree that he's skilled, I find him boring. So that's why I made the quip about him being on crack. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, brother.
Yeah, that's true. He is boring, but he's a very good defensive fighter, which is what kind of brings me. I don't want to talk about like the matchup much because I'm really suspecting, and I'm not big onto like the whole boxing, conspiracy stuff. But this fight raises some eyebrows for me. I feel like there's some fuckery going on, to be honest. Because Bivol, he's after he made his like waves. When he went on that tear, when he was on HBO. Since then, I feel like he hasn't had any promotional entities behind him. He's had to fight in Russia. He's insinuated that he doesn't really love the sport. He hasn't made much money, and that makes me think that it doesn't take much money to convince him to, to fight a certain way, if you know what I mean. I mean, I feel like it wouldn't take more than 5 to 10 million, which is something Canelo easily has, to get him to, I guess take a professional dive. This guy's a professional boxer. He knows how to turn it on, turn it off, how to defend himself, how to make it look like he's losing. So that's kind of what I feel like. I feel like Canelo, he has too much to lose at this point, and he wouldn't be taking this kind of fight because on paper this matchup is all wrong for him, right? I mean, he has trouble with Lara, he has trouble with people with fast feet, and now he's going to go up against someone with range. I mean, he was even getting frustrated against Caleb Plant because of his range. And Caleb Plant can't punch worth shit.
So, caller, let me ask you then. What you're saying is, if the fight is on the level, you think Bivol would win it?
Yeah, I do. I think that matchup-wise, I don't really see what Canelo has. He has a stalking kind of a style. He's all about kind of setting his feet and using lateral and using his hip movement to avoid punches. I don't think that that's enough to close distance against someone who's going to be in and out, in and out. The only thing you could criticize Bivol is his speed tends to be the same, but I think that just because he is such a subtle boxer, it's actually hard to read his momentum changes for most people.
Well, can I say if he was going to throw the fight, but if he was going to beat Canelo, if he beats Canelo and he's confident in his abilities, he'll make 5 times that. You know what I mean? In a fight against Beterbiev, because if he beats Canelo, that'd make insane purse. What's that?
I don't agree with you. I don't think he will. I think the anti-Russian sentiment and his style all conspire to him realizing that outside of this big payday, he's got nothing really to win. He might make $3 million versus like $1 million.
But you just said you think he has the ability. But you just said yourself you think he has the ability. He's all wrong for Canelo. So why don't you think he would want to just box and beat him?
Because, like I said, I don't think there is any hype behind him. I don't think there's any promotional machine. He doesn't speak English very well. There isn't much of a market. There isn't much of a nascent market in Russia. I mean, look at Eagle SC, Habib's promotion, right? It's kind of fledgling already, There's really no market in the world. I mean, he can make slightly more fighting Beterbiev in that next fight or whatever, but, I don't see a huge upside to him winning. Outside of what they could pay him.
What about a fight Beterbiev in Russia?
He can make his rest of his career.
But you were talking, but it's not just this country. Boxing is a global sport. You know what that would do to his name in Russia if he was to beat Canelo? A fight against Beterbiev, those two Russians.
Yeah, I speak Russian, and I watch a lot of these outlets. I'm telling you, there is no money in Russia, especially now with the war. There's not going to be like oil magnates putting up money to host an event there. Right, there's a security risk. It's all the wrong time.
What I'm wondering is
the rubles almost. I mean, look at Gvozdyk and Beterbiev. That was already a unification fight between 2 Russian-speaking fighters. They couldn't put it on in Russia. So,
interesting.
Why would you think that just because Beterbiev would outbox Canelo to a decision, unless he brutally beat up Canelo and knocked him out in a spectacular fashion, which I don't think he could do. I don't think he could raise his profile much. Like I said, the anti-Russian sentiment, you saw the media propaganda machine. First of all, before this invasion started, it was always written as Kiev, like Kiev, right? Like that was the Ukrainian capital. Then suddenly it's Kiev. It's the first time in my life I've heard that, from part of that world.
Well, can I say...
like the U.S. polling on should we send troops to the Ukraine was something like 10% until there was a CNN campaign and went to 50%. I mean, the propaganda machine against Russians is quite strong.
Well, yeah, listen.
Go ahead, DD, sorry,
no, it's okay. Sorry, but in regards to the fix being in, it would surprise me. That would be the most likely scenario in terms of a fight not being on the level. As far as Bivol taking a dive, that's harder to prove. Because then you would have to go, okay, let's say you're right. Let's say he's not that big a star and he doesn't have an upside and he doesn't like the sport and he's willing to take a payday. Well, how much more money is he willing to take, or would it take for him to take a dive and to essentially shame himself by taking that dive? Because how much is he getting paid right now? Anyone know what the payday is?
Yeah, I don't know how much he's getting paid right now, but I think it's between 5 to 8 is what I would guess. I think that's relatively accurate.
Oh, I would imagine it's at least 10. I'd be shocked if it was under 10.
But think of the fights subsequent to this, right? I know that his paydays thus far have been around $1 million, if that, for most of his fights, right? Mm-hmm. So, he would have to make another 5 to 10 fights to make what he can make at the back end. Let's say his profile will raise and he'd make like $3 to $5 million with a Beterbiev fight. I think Canelo can still afford to pay him, anywhere between like 10 to 20.
Well, it's interesting because at this point it's all speculation.
I think that the economics here actually make sense. I don't think it makes sense for most of them. And I mean, to be honest, I'm not saying this is a likely scenario. I think it's something under 20 to 30% probability. But just the fact that he's taking this fight makes me suspect. Either he knows something about Bivol, about his recent training history, or I just don't think Canelo would take this fight because on paper it looks all wrong for him. I think that he would lose 10 times out of 10.
Never underestimate a fighter's. Never underestimate a fighter's ability to believe in himself, especially since he's already beaten what's his name, Kovalev, and he probably thinks, "Hey, man, I can probably beat this guy." Like boxers delude
There's nobody else, anyways.
Okay.
There's nobody else. It's either him or what? Andre.
So you say that about Kovalev, BDA, but hold on, right? So if he was so confident that he could beat Kovalev, why didn't he give him a sufficient camp to recover? Because that fight occurred less than 8 weeks after that brutal beating he took against Anthony Yarde in his hometown, where he was almost finished in the 10th round. Like if this fight happened in almost any other part of the world, he would have been stopped that round. Right.
You're right. I think
there was a rehydration clause. As well. So if he was so confident.
All right, can I answer the question, please? I got you. Can I answer the question? We don't know if he's the one that decided. I don't know if he's the one that decided that. That could be his team. That could be his promoter or his manager or whoever's calling the shots behind the scenes. Because Canelo, he's not the mastermind of all of this. Everyone that goes, well, Canelo's fixing his fights, all that, he's not going around doing that. It's his promoters, his managers who know they have a golden goose on their hands. They're the ones. If there is some fuckery going on, it's on them. And maybe a little bit of Canelo. Maybe Canelo knows, but I think they keep him in the dark just for plausible deniability. So my point still stands. I think maybe in his dumb head, he thinks I can move up all the way to heavyweight. Because now they're talking about Usyk. I mean, I gotta tell you, it seems like maybe he really does believe that. But anyway, listen, 301. We really do have to move on to another call. So anything else you want to say before we move on?
No, that was it.
All right,
good show. All right.
But it's a good point that you bring up.
I guess.
It's a good point that you bring up. Even though we're also just speculating here, you just never know with boxing.
I'm just speculating too. But just on the his team making things. I mean, his team is what I meant the whole time anyway. That they're the ones making the decision to pick this guy anyway. So I think they must know something if this fight is on the level. I just don't think they would take this fight if this were otherwise on the level matchup. Anyway,
it's possible. It's plausible. I wouldn't be surprised. All right, Tier 1. Thank you for your call. Call back next time. Take it easy, man.
And Bivol could be getting low money, too, because he hasn't really made any money or did pay-per-view sales. I don't know. I'm curious to find out myself.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up while we are... Go ahead.
When you say he's fighting this guy because he sees something in his opponent, then and then the LDBC guys say well, Canelo's avoiding Charlo. He's not fighting Charlo right now because he sees something in Charlo that scares him. So you can go on and on with these fucking stories, right?
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
he's not fighting Charlo. I'll make the argument. He's not fighting Charlo right now because he sees something in Charlo that scares him, or sees that's complicated.
You got a good point, Butcher. You got a good point, but like the caller said, he's speculating too. At the end of the day, we're all just speculating when we say.
Yeah, I know it's all speculation.
Right.
It just seems that people are so quick to go to throwing fights nowadays. It just wasn't even really a talk when I was a kid. Maybe we just never. It was just so foreign, the concept. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, I mean, fights get fixed. Fighters that take dives. My thing is, show me good, solid proof so that I can, because I'm on the fence.
Evidence, exactly.
Right. I'm not.
How many fights do you know of that we know of for sure were actually thrown in all the years and all the top fights that we know for sure?
Right.
The one that I watched that I really suspect is Bruce Seldon versus Mike Tyson that I watched with my own two eyes.
Oh, that was definitely I won't say it was a fix, but Seldon threw the fight. There's a difference between the two. Paying someone off to take a dive and someone purposely going down to not fight back because they're too scared to actually show themselves is not the same thing.
But listen, I don't want to get too close to this subject right now because we got other callers, but I did forget to touch upon the whole Russian thing. The Russia thing, that is a good something to look into because you just never know. They're crazy with the Russia-Ukraine thing right now. So that could play a factor. I'm not denying that.
If I can add something real quick before we take the call, I just saw on Total Sports, I think Canelo's guarantee, according to Total Sports, is 15 and Bivol's is around 2. And then there's more money supposedly after pay-per-view. But Again, I don't know how reliable of a source Total Sports is.
Wait, Bivol's only getting $2 million?
Guaranteed, and then back end money.
Jeez, Louise, that's... Hey, maybe there is something to it. Maybe Bivol, they give him another $10 million. That's enough for him to retire. I don't know. Let's go to... Hold on a second. Who's next here? Okay, 571, you're on the air. 571, you're on the air. 571, what's on your mind?
What's good, BDA? It's Head Honcho, that Bronx dog.
Oh!
I'm back.
We got Head Honcho back, man. It's been a while. Where the fuck you been?
That's not
I've
him.
been in prison, my nigga.
What do you mean that's not him?
I just got out last month. Yo, Daddy, let me talk real quick. You had these two goofy dudes on before me. What was one's name? Boo Boo and Tijuana. They were talking a whole lot of nothing. Ain't no way Bivol losing. I won 3 G's off of Bivol. That's my boy. Let's get it straight. Ain't no Russian losing to no ginger. And you know who Canelo beat? He beat a whole lot of babies. You know what a baby is?
What's
a
that?
British bitch.
Oh.
Yeah, British bitch. He beat nothing but British bitches. You can't beat no Russian. Dog, Bivol is from the Caucasus Mountains. You can't beat them type of dudes. You can't beat Khabib. You can't beat... What's that other nigga? That's my other nigga. Justin Butterbean. What's that other nigga? Wolverine.
What the fuck?
Justin Bean. Yeah, you know that nigga. That's my other nigga.
Oh, man,
That's the only other nigga that can beat Bivol. Ain't no gingerbread from Mexico. We know ain't no gingers in Mexico.
Oh, man. Hey, listen.
My nigga Tyrone is more Mexican than Canelo.
Honcho, you gotta be careful, man. You gotta be careful, because when I said that Canelo doesn't look Mexican, I got a whole lot of flack. People telling me that fucking Los Mochis, there's a contingent of white people there, white Mexicans.
You know Canelo wasn't Mexican when he had that weigh-in and his little dick was showing through the underwear.
Oh man, Honcho, you got off to a great start.
Ain't no Mexican whacking with a little thing like that.
All right, well, I hate to have to hang up on you, Honcho, man, but let's
get to Las Vegas facts. People gonna kill Canelo. I'm putting 500 on it. 500.
Oh, 500. 500. Did you say 500?
All these goofy callers calling in, talking about, I'm Russian. Motherfucker, you ain't Russian. The closest you've been to Russia is Food Lion vodka.
All right. Well, listen, we got to move on, Honcho. I hate to do it, but we do have other callers. But call back after the fight, right, man?
Oh, that Bronx dog is always going to call back as long as I'm out of jail.
All right. Take it easy, Honcho. Take it easy. Catch you on the next one, man. What the fuck was that? Yeah, I don't know. Was that the real Honcho? He sounded different a little bit.
I think he's outside, though. That's why.
That the energy
sounded different.
Oh, he's a caller before my time.
No, he was. No, what the fuck are you talking about? We started the phone calls when you were here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't remember him. That's why.
He's the one that was getting into it. He's the one that was getting into it with Stu.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. He was calling him and the other British. He was getting into it with Stu and British Jimmy. That's
right. That's right. Yep. Now I remember.
Man, that had to be that's a strong candidate for caller of the year right there, if there ever was one. All right, let's go to their phone call.
Swinging.
That's right.
No feeling out rounds.
That's right. 754, you're on the air. 754, what's on your mind?
BDA, what's going on, fam? It's Coach Malachi.
Oh, Coach Malachi, what's up, man?
Coach.
Hey, what's going on, fam? Just calling in, checking out the show, man. Just calling and checking out the show, man. That's all. I haven't talked to you guys in a little bit, man. Just I wanted to tell you, just keep doing your thing, keep doing what you do. You know.
Thank you, man.
It is what it is, man. You know, the real recognize the real, so you know who's who, what's what.
Appreciate that. Right back at you, Coach. What's on your mind, man?
Oh no, this fight with Canelo and Bivol, I really not gonna lie, man. I'm kind of, you always gonna kind of lean towards Canelo, but I'm anxious to see how this Bivol controls the distance in the range with Canelo, and depending on what are the judges are looking for, how they're gonna score the fight, depending on how the fight turns out and stuff. This fight really, I'm very interested in. I'm not gonna lie. I know a lot of people giving Bivol flack, saying, "Hey, he only has 19 fights. Canelo ain't fighting nobody," and I get it. I understand it. I get it. You know what I mean? But I'm just really anxious, just to see. I'm not anxious to pay the pay-per-view because I bought quite a few pay-per-views this year so far. But I'm just anxious to see how that matchup, that chess match, is going to turn out with Bivol and Canelo and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, it's an intriguing one. That's for sure. It wouldn't be a shame for Canelo to lose, though. You got to give it up to him. I mean, fighting at 175 against a guy that's much taller than him and faster, so it is a risk. But if he wins, then he reaps the rewards. I wanted to ask you something. You were doing a show earlier about Spence. They're coming up with this narrative now that Spence offered the money to Canelo, and that since Canelo didn't fight Spence, that means he avoided him. What were your thoughts on that? I didn't get a chance to catch all of your show.
Yeah, it was. That's crazy. Like, he's ducking a welterweight. I mean, just me saying that right there just doesn't, nothing else to talk about. He was ducking the welterweight, and he was going to fight the guy at a catch weight of 164. Okay, for one, Canelo is cash cow boxing. He's the face of boxing. Why would he agree to terms to fight a career welterweight at a catch weight of 164? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. He's ducking this guy, and then he's ducking Jamal Charlo. When Errol Spence, Jamal Charlo, and David Benavidez played the video today, all said that Canelo is not ducking anybody. They didn't duck them, none of that stuff. He's chasing greatness. So what I find is the people, when I do my research, what I find is the people that's pushing these narratives, they are completely ignoring the fact that the fighters who they are pushing the narratives for are literally saying the total opposite of what these narrative pushing channels are saying, and that's what I was addressing.
Excellent point.
That's a great point, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. And yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Well,
so they debunked that, and I just felt that I did a poll on the show, and 372 people participated. 9% of the people felt that, hey, because Tom Brown, I felt like that he just felt kind of salty that Canelo did not take the deal, because he ended up saying that Canelo chose to take the easy route by fighting Bivol, by taking the DAZN offer. And I said, okay, if I was to agree with that narrative that Canelo was taking the easy route, then surely you can't say that fighting Jamal Charlo was the harder route, because when I look at Jamal Charlo, since he's been in the middleweight division, he's fighting a dude by the name of Malaki Suzuki, whatever his name is, Selecki, whatever his name is, I can't pronounce his name. Then he fought Juan Montiel before that. Then he fought what the dude name? Derevyanchenko. He fought Derevyanchenko before that, which that was a good fight. And then before that, I think he fought Brandon, some dude named Hogan. Then Brandon Adams, the Dennis Hogan, Brandon Adams. So I said, you want me to say that Jamal Charlo would be the harder route, more so than Bivol? When I read this guy's resume in the middleweight division, he literally has not fought any champions in the middleweight division, and he has not tried to unify the middleweight division not one time. And when I look at the guys who he is fighting, how are you going to criticize Canelo by saying that, hey, he's taking the easier path, while ignoring the fighter that you promote, Jamal Charlo, while ignoring the fact that he has nothing but easy path fights since he's been in the middleweight division? Like, make sense to me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I felt like he was just throwing shade because Canelo didn't take the PBC deal. I get it. Canelo is the guy that brings the money. He's the cash cow and stuff like that. But that's just how I felt about it. I got a lot of calls on this today, man, and people, this guy gave me some content today. I'm like, wow.
Well, there's people that love
people believe that, bro. Some people really believe that Canelo is, he's ducking, and and then one guy said that, hey, he's not fighting the big name fighters that we want him to fight. So I said, sir, can you give me an example of the big name fighters that you want him to fight? I'm saying big name fighters like Roy Jones and this and that. He was talking about Roy Jones.
What?
It's okay, sir. Can you tell me some fighters? Yeah, he's giving Roy Jones as an example of the type of fighters that Canelo is avoiding. So I said, can you give me any examples of any fighters like Roy Jones that's fighting today that Canelo is specifically avoiding? And he paused. He literally couldn't think of any names. He said, well, I was going to say Jamal Charlo, but you convinced me that Jamal Charlo, Canelo's not ducking Jamal Charlo, because I just broke it down like, hey, man, this guy ain't fought nobody since he's been in the middleweight division.
I got to tell you, Coach, you're doing the Lord's work, man, over at your channel. You're doing the Lord's work.
What's your channel? Because I want to subscribe.
New Media Today.
These people, hey, you know what I'm saying? These people hate me, boy. I am like, they are a bullseye on my back there. It's funny. My channel is New Media Today USA Boxing.
There you go.
Coach, they always want to silence the ones who speak the facts. That's what it is. And the thing is, right, though, you can say they hate you. I listen to your show all the time. They sure don't trip over themselves trying to call you. That's for sure. They don't try to debate you.
No, they don't. And I expose the clickbait titles, the thumbnails. I have a background in marketing, so I get it. I understand it. You know what I mean? And these guys are just,
Hey, sources say. Sources say. Sources say. That's all you got to do.
Yep. Sources say, according to reports, breaking news.
Yeah, that says it all right there, man. Well, listen, Coach, anything else you want to say?
I know all of their talking points.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say, man?
No, that's
Coach,
it, man.
one thing I just want to say to Coach.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Coach, what I always say, and we always say on this show is, if it's cherry picking, if what Canelo's doing so easy, that's usually the narrative. Why don't any of the fighters they carry water for do it? How come nobody else did it? And they have no answer. They just all go crickets.
They don't have an answer for you. They can't answer that question.
Absolutely, man.
They can't answer that question. You're making too much sense right now.
Well, at least you're doing it. At least you're doing it. You're doing it respectfully. That's the other plus on the side there. Unless they even when they get impolite with you and start calling you names, that's you remain composed. That's always a plus, man.
Yeah, I've been working on that because because of my daughter. She's 9 years old, so I've been working on that.
Well, there you go, man. Well, listen, Coach, always good to hear from you, man.
All right, thank you, brother.
Thank you for calling in. Call
Coach,
back
keep
next
up
time,
the
man.
good work.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, take it easy, man. Thanks for calling in. All right, that was Coach Malachi. Yeah, Bucha just put the link in the description there, and here's the channel in case you don't recognize the thumbnail. If you go there, this is a New Media Today USA Boxing. Run and don't walk. Run to go subscribe to it, and it's always entertaining, man. Always entertaining and informative too. Because he comes in with,
and he always brings the energy too. BDA, he never mails it in. If he has you know what I mean. He has streams. He brings the energy. He doesn't duck anybody. If you want to call and go at it. So yeah, no, excellent channel. I agree 100% with you, Mr. BDA.
Yeah, I agree right back with you, man. So shout out to Coach Malachi. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out, man. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to who else we got here? 347. You're on the air. 347. What's on your mind?
Finally. I mean, I've been waiting for like an hour on end, but this is the call the fans been waiting for. So I'll give it. First, Bucho's on the line.
Yeah, but I don't know if he can hear you, man, because you sound very muffled.
Yeah, but listen, King Bucho, I think you need to open your eyes, your ears, your skull, whatever. But listen, right? Canelo, right? The reason why people are saying he's ducking Charlo, ducking Benavidez, right, is because, right, these guys can actually knock him out. And also, the guys he's been fighting are boxers. Look at his recent fighters that he's been fighting are boxers, right? They box, right? So he's not worried about him getting knocked out. He's not even worried about losing because he knows the judges are in his favor, right? But with the guys who KO fighters, right, like Charlo, Benavidez, that's gonna worry Canelo because he can get knocked out. And the only way to beat Canelo is when your hand is raised by knocking him out. You're not going to get your hand raised by outboxing him. We know this, right? So why do you think he moved up to division when Benavidez got out of the picture? Why do you think, I mean, all of his, he went in the division where the champions were boxers, right? You understand that, right? So, and that was the weakest division that you could unify in, other than what? Yeah, that's the weakest division in boxing.
All right, well, you want to let Bucho respond?
Yeah, go ahead, Bucho, please.
You're talking to me? I went to the fucking bathroom. What's going on?
Come on.
I'm serious. I had to take a fucking leak.
Oh my goodness gracious! That disrespect you showed to MMA champ, who's him and Felipe have been running the prediction league, and you don't even listen.
BJ, I think, BJ, listen, Bucho, you need to open. You need to, like, I don't think you understand. Is this going through your thick Mexican skull?
No.
Like, come on, bro. You know?
What's that have to do with being Mexican?
You better stay in your lane, man. Stay in your lane.
Nah, you stay in your lane. You stay in your lane. You bum, you Mexican bum, don't play me. But, anyway, listen, right, with, Canelo, listen, all the Canelo fans need to know this, right? He's a Spanish-speaking leprechaun. He's not Mexican. Spanish-speaking leprechaun. Okay? He's not a Mexican. I bet you, right? If I was walking down the street of New York, Brooklyn, whatever, and I showed people a picture of Canelo, and without knowing that he was Mexican, they would think he was a white man. They would think he's BBA's correction. So, come on, bro.
MMA champ, people on the Discord are going to grill you now for saying that, man. You know that, right?
Listen, I don't care, you know, what low IQ people think of a high IQ person. So, it doesn't really matter to me because I'm too high IQ for that, you know, nonsense.
Take away the IQ. Anyway, take away the IQ listen, and you're right. You are high.
People are saying, oh, you know, Canelo's going to KO him. First of all, Canelo couldn't KO, you know, a guy, Caleb playing a bum is about a black man. You know, everybody knows he's a black man. So anyway, he couldn't KO him. Like, come on, bro.
All right, well, listen.
He KO'd, wait. He killed Caleb Plant. He did KO him. I'm wrong, but he took 11 rounds to do it, right? And also, everybody's going to say, oh.
All right, listen, we got to move on, man. Listen, take a break. Go watch Pokemon. We got to move on, man. This call's taking too long.
King Bucho, I met you at the border. I met you and your family at the border.
What the fuck? That doesn't make sense. All right, well, listen, MMA champ, point taken. You don't think Canelo's going to be able to beat Bivol. And, yeah, we'll see what happens, man. Hey, listen, it's an interesting fight. It's a peculiar, intriguing fight. So, MMA champ, shout out to you. Okay, he hung up. And take it easy, man. MMA champ, he does this on the Discord too. Don't think it's only on the calls. He terrorizes the Discord. But he's running the BDA Prediction League, so go check that out as well over at the Discord. Shout out to MMA champ. All right, let's go to 424. You're on the air. 424. What's on your mind?
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, 424. What's on your mind?
Can anyone hear me? The fight between Canelo versus Bivol, I think that's the fight I'm looking forward for that fight on Saturday because it's like what you guys have said, it's a very fascinating and intriguing matchup to see because I mean we haven't seen Canelo has fought one time at 175 and that was against an over the hill Kovalev like years ago, like in 2019, and we saw what happened. However, Bivol, he is different from Kovalev because at the very least, Bivol, he has a lot left in his tank, unlike Kovalev, and it'll be very interesting to see, like if Canelo wins, like I won't say that. I will give him some credit, of course, because Bivol isn't going to be a bum. But what are your thoughts to some people who will say that after, let's say if Canelo beats the Bivol, like what are your thoughts when if they say that Bivol was just another bum and he just sold out? What are your responses to those people?
Well, it depends on how he wins, right? On how Canelo. Well, Gonzalo, I think you were going to say something. Go ahead.
Well, he hardly loses any rounds, and I think he's racked up. He's like on his ninth or 10th title defense. So those Russian guys, they own that division. He's real good, man.
Yeah, that's true. And
absolutely.
He's fought good B+ level opposition. He's barely lost a round against them. And I would also pose the question to those people: would you name me another middleweight that could jump to light heavyweight and beat Bivol? You know what I mean? Like, would Charlo do? I think maybe Benavidez, but then again,
with Benavidez, maybe Benavidez would, but Charlo wouldn't.
Exactly, and with Benavidez, look, I'm high on Benavidez' skills and talent, but the same thing applies to him. If you apply to Bivol, who did Bivol beat? Well, who did Benavidez beat as well? Very thin resume. So we could,
exactly.
you can go in circles with that too. But yeah, what else, caller? What else?
My other fight, my other topic was I think Joe Smith versus Beterbiev has been confirmed. Like for June? Have you heard about what's going on with the whole WBA type of thing? Because in February, the WBA said that they wouldn't recognize a fighter from Russia, being a champion. Like, has there been any change whatsoever, with this whole policy, and how would it affect the unification between Joe Smith and Beterbiev?
Jimmy, you think about this?
The change would probably be money was offered to them, and they sold out their principles like that. You know what I mean? When they got their $500,000 or whatever they got for that, unification or sanctioning fees, that was virtue signaling at the highest order. Oh, we're not gonna, that was it. They jumped on all the hype. Absolutely. I think a lot of people have relaxed that since then, but that's my stance on that.
Yeah. And like I said this, like in February, like they never like the sanctioning bodies, they never punished American fighters or British fighters when America invaded the Iraq War. But then all of a sudden, Russian fighters, they're now guilty of something that they have no control of. Like, it's just virtue signaling, like you said, Jimmy. Like, it's just virtue signaling at its highest level.
That's why I don't dismiss
that's my sense.
Well, that's why I don't dismiss the claims that 301 made, or that when he said it's possible maybe Bivol, something happens with the cars, or maybe even with Bivol, because the whole Russia thing, when you have the entire mainstream media and international community at large demonizing one country to the level where their sports stars, well, not stars, but their athletes are getting penalized for that. Yeah, you gotta the cat's out of the bag, the door's open, and you never know what's gonna happen. But 424. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
I was just seeing the comments that this isn't Mexico versus Russia, it's Ireland versus Korea because of Canelo's appearances. But anyways, I just want to say salute to you, BDA, salute to you, King Bucho, salute Gonzalo, and then salute Boxing Chief, and then salute to Jimmy. It's a pleasure speaking to you guys, and hopefully I can speak more often with you guys. And if not, maybe be part of the panel with you guys. So it would be very cool.
Well, jump on Open Lines Fridays, man. That's your chance that's when we let everybody on, man.
The audition.
Yeah, I would like to, I would like to be
come on Friday, brother. Jump on the open panel Friday.
I will.
For sure.
I will.
All right, fantastic. 424, man. Thank you for your call.
I'll look at. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man, and thank you for the praise, man. All your support. Take it easy, man. Catch you in the next one.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, shout out to, before we continue here, shout out to John Gonzalez for his contribution with the super chat. He says, this is for the coach. I like that dude. Well, shout out to you, John. I mean, you should have given that one to Coach over his channel, but hey, I'll take it. Why not? Shout out to John for his contribution, and then shout out to John again. And this is for my dude, MMA champ. And he puts a thumbs up. There you go. Shout out to John Gonzalez with the Mel Gibson avatar that always cracks me up when I see it. And shout out also to, hold on a second. Who else? Somebody else just donated. Rex donated with the super chat as well. Shout out to Rex. He says, this is in Mexico versus Russia. Okay, yeah, that's the comment. This is Russia versus, it's Ireland versus Korea. Canelo looks Irish and Bivol looks Korean. Shout out to Rex as well for his contribution. And finally, shout out to Rider of the Storm for his contribution to Super Chat. He says, if the LDBC don't think Russians are dangerous, they should watch Rocky 4. They are killers. LOL. Yeah, that's true, man. That movie, hey, listen, you watch that movie, it's Ivan Drago killed a dude there. That's real life right there, man.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah, why didn't they stop that? Can you believe they just let the guy, even the ref doesn't stop it? I mean, I understand the corner didn't stop it. Well, the ref lets that shit go on. Come on, man.
Is Rocky IV in the Smithsonian?
I think it's in the Library of Congress. There's a copy there, or the film reel. They got it there in a bunker in case a nuclear winter comes along. It's still going to survive that. Well, listen, fellas, I got to go to the bathroom real quick. So you guys take over, man. Talk about this Bivol Canelo fight. Let's start giving some official predictions, man.
One thing that I just suddenly thought about, you know what? Bivol's been staying active, fighting the Craig Richards of the world, Salamov, and fighters like that. And he's undefeated, pretty much wins like almost all the rounds. And he's been steadily training in the Joel Diaz gym, which means he's acclimatized. And he's going to show up pretty sharp because he's been fighting often and he's been steadily training in a gym in the United States. So that's something that he brings to the table as well.
Yeah, and he's he's a professional fighter, man, in every sense of the word. He knows what he has. It's a big task for Canelo. And if he does it, if he beats him, Jesus, I mean, because then after that, really, it's better be if there's nobody else at light heavyweight. I wouldn't worry about him going against, and him to just even the thought of him unifying that division would be that would have to surpass just about every Mexican as far as accomplishments. That's crazy. I mean, again, it's not the same as the champions back in the day. Plus, the same day weigh-in, you couldn't do this shit. You couldn't go as low as you can. There's a reason you didn't have 8 and 9 weight champions in the 60s and 50s, because you just couldn't do it because it was the same day weigh-in. That eliminated half those fucking people jumping around, But
one thing that I'm interested in watching, that let's see if Canelo, because I don't know, man, he's lifting the weights now. It's not like he's just getting off the couch and weighing 68 and just stepping at 75 for the first time like he did against Kovalev. Now he's actually going to probably build up weight above 175 to where like the day prior during the weigh-in, he's going to cut down. The days leading to the weigh-in, he's going to cut down to 75, and probably because muscle got memory, he's going to rehydrate to maybe about 183 or 85. I don't know. Let's see how that works. And because I know his punches are not going to be as straight because they haven't been ever since like 54, okay, 60, but then 68 and 75, no, your arms get muscle bound. Yeah, you're going to have to like cock back just the little bit more to throw them heavy hooks. But what I'm interested in seeing is, you know how they say, okay, you got to be able to cut off the ring if you're kind of like slow-footed like Canelo, and he's had success against the back foot fighters and doing that. Well, those guys didn't really have the power, but anyhow, he's been able to track those guys down and beat them down and knock them out. That now we got a guy that moves in and out. I'm interested to see now that he's putting on the weight that if he doesn't necessarily cut off the ring, but he bulldozes forward and just chases a motherfucker down, like when he had Caleb Plant hurt, if he'll chase you down and just the will and that gallon neck alone, he can collapse the pocket, and whether you're hitting him or not, just with the strength factor, he can beat you down. Because they say, oh yeah, it's about cutting off the ring, but it's also, if you can chase a motherfucker down and set a trap, or you can catch him escaping with like a hook and put him in place, so it doesn't matter if you're cutting off the ring per se, Man, just on will alone, you can track a motherfucker down and beat him down. I want to see
Bivel's power. Gonzalo, do you think Bivel's power will keep Canelo from hunting him too much? Meaning, like it was towards the last, probably I'd say 8th, 9th, and 10th round. I don't think Canelo was showing Plant any respect. I remember you made that point too. Like he wasn't worried about his, something coming behind it. I think Bivol hits that hard. What do you think? Do you think that might temper that? And also, do you think if Canelo starts getting frustrated and starts lunging? I mean, it's just a lot of things, but what do you think of that?
Well, yeah, Bivol hits hard, but I suspect a lot of the times he doesn't clench his fist. He kind of keeps his hand open, like let's say how Tyson Fury did. That way he can release the hands faster. Then a lot of times before he touches down upon the opponent, he'll tighten up the palm where, the hand is traveling faster. And I was noticing how he punches when he's unleashing this fury of shots. Yeah, he hits with the knuckles, so he's not slapping. But a lot of times he's not like making the ball and like really trying to put a stamp that where if you keep the hands light and you kind of have like Tyson Fury where you're not balling up your fist, you can release your hands that much quicker. But the thing with that, yeah, you're being more active as opposed to like clenching the fist and really turning the punch over like a Golovkin and whatnot. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like he can punch, and he's got momentum that when he steps in and he really decides to like ball up his fist, yeah, he can punch. But if he tries to be sacrifice punching hard for actually like throwing more punches than more quantity than quality, then that's not going to be enough to deter Canelo.
And Canelo's got crazy. What he's never going to be used to. Bivol, he's never going to have seen the explosive speed, because Canelo might not have fast feet, but he's got explosive hands. You know what I mean? It is going to have faster hands than anything he's seen coming at him in a long time. It's just going to be the height. There's a big, what is it, like 6 inches height difference? That's a lot of. That's the reason why I think it'd be hard pressed to see body punches on Bivol, especially in the beginning, in the early rounds, because Bivel's so good with that fencing stance of bouncing out, and you go for somebody's midsection, you're a lot shorter. That opens you up for counters like crazy, hook counters.
Yeah, and you know what? He's when he's starting in and out, you create momentum. It's like a moving car. Yeah, your punches are impactful, but as he steps back and Canelo, let's say, instead of like darting in, just like a little bit to try to catch him like on a counter, what if he just starts to bulldoze forward when Bivol is stepping back to where he's collapsing the pocket, but not just like stepping in, but actually like bulldozing in to try to like close the space as much as possible, then and try to get the opportunity to land the short hook. Because if he tries to shoot as Bivol is darting back out, he's not going to catch up. He's going to flail away. Bivol's going to step too far out, and Canelo's the short-hander fighter that, when he throws hooks, he's going to be missing. He's going to be swinging that air. But if Canelo, like, he decides to, like, as Bivol steps back, bulldoze forward and press him, like a lot. Not necessarily cutting off the ring, but just like chasing him down. That's what I want to see. Because you can still chase a motherfucker down and don't have to be pretty at doing it. And just on will alone and strength, that's what I want to see if Canelo is so confident in his skills, because he knows that on strength alone he can do things differently. Because a lot of times fighters are not willing to gamble. And they want to box you like back and forth. Yeah, but no, if just like with the strength alone. What do you think, Jimmy?
Well, I'll say this, Gonzalo. In terms of the strength, I don't know if it's going to be that much of a factor when it comes to Canelo versus Bivol, because Canelo's not a in-your-chest type fighter. And I don't think it's going to get to that point either. You know what I mean? I think Bivol... What's that?
Oh, no, nothing. I was just going to apologize. I responded to you, Gonzalo. I just was on mute. Sorry about that. Ahead, I wasn't ignoring you.
Jimmy,
no. Finish what you were saying.
Respond. Respond.
Okay, well, I agree. I think, all right, when he comes in, see, it's all going to come down to this. In my head, I keep playing it out. does he have the power to stop Bivol? Because that's what's going to be crucial. Because if he doesn't, I'm thinking too, if he does connect very well on Bivol, and Bivol's like, shit, he don't even hit harder than Joe Smith. And I was able to deal with Joe Smith's power. That will be such a confidence grower. Like the first big punch he connects him with will set the tempo for the rest of the fight. Meaning, like, if he catches him super clean in the first few rounds, catches him with something, but doesn't even rock him, Bivol's confidence is going to grow. He's going to be like, all right, and it's going to make him fight more confident and uses. But if he does have a chance to hurt him, it could shell him up. And if it shells him up, meaning he's not fighting as comfortable and he's thinking instead of reacting, that's what Canelo will be able to capitalize on. Because when you're worried about getting hit, you're not worrying about what you can do. Sorry about all the word jimble. I didn't get that out very well, but that was my theory.
I sort of get what you're saying, Jimmy, and I think it's also important to look at the CompuBox numbers. I'm looking for them here. I might have to actually look at them on Google because I thought I had them in a folder here, but the most punches I've ever seen him throw, according to CompuBox, in a fight was in the Triple G rematch. I think he threw about 600 shots, and he usually averages between upper 300s and 400s. So he's very economical with his shots, and his power so far has played a part in that. It's allowed him to throw so few shots. Against Bivol, though, at 175 pounds, if, like you said, if the power is not there for Canelo and he's got that, 20, 30 punches per round, that might not even be enough to win him the rounds. So that's why it's an intriguing fight. Because Bivol is going to be in there, in and out. And like Gonzalo says, Bivol can switch up the power. He can crack, and even if he couldn't crack, it would still be hard for Canelo to chase him down because of that footwork. That is solid footwork right there from Bivol. So I don't know what you guys. Let's get some official predictions here. I mean,
well, people say he has a wide foot, stance, but it's really he's also wide shouldered. He keeps it just a little bit farther on the outside of his shoulders, his insteps, his insides, but he keeps it even the whole time. So it's not like he has that wide stance where he has to get, flat-footed wide stance to throw his punches, and he has to resettle. He hops in and out in almost kind of a Pacquiao way, keeping his legs in that same positioning. And he has big calves, and he's in good condition. He's not a partier. He's young and in his prime. This is just Canelo deserves his props for taking his fight. And so that's why I get overly frustrated when I hear people making up all this other narrative ridiculousness. Because like somebody said, the fighters themselves are saying he's chasing greatness. Because they all know none of them would go up to fight Bivol. Not one. And that's why they know it. It's just fan noise.
I think he keeps his legs like at a good width apart to where like when he's moving forward, even if you collapse the pocket on him, he's still punching with his hands. He might be a little slow to reset with the feet, and it comes with the territory of always moving in and out. But if you catch him, basically when one of the movements when he's stepping in or in and out, because obviously as an opponent, you're trying to time his movements and catch him in between his work. He can still respond with the hands to where he's got good balance and he's got the legs spread apart at a perfect width where he can still be on balance to punch, whether he's transitioning in and out and not necessarily be at the perfect placement with the feet. With that movement, it's just one of those things. Your opponent is going to try to catch you on the move, but necessarily when you're not with your feet perfectly placed on the canvas, and when you're moving like that, he's waiting for you when you're touching off the canvas to catch you, right? So, but still, when an opponent can catch Bivol like that, he's still got the hands where he can catch and reaction with the fist. Because at the end of the day, you don't punch with your legs, you punch with your hands. That's so right. He's always got that going for him.
And one last thing I'll add to that is that so far from what I've seen from him, when he gets hit, he comes right back. He's got that Sugar Ray Leonard mentality to him. Like, you hit me with one shot, I'm taking it right back. Let's go to a couple of phone calls here. Yeah, let's go to a couple of phone calls here. Let's go to, and don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. 562, you're on the air. 562, what's on your mind?
Hey, how's it going, Mr. BD? It's Timothy Figueroa from the Second Renaissance.
Oh, Timothy, what's up, man?
Yeah, I mean, first off, before I start, I just want to say
I really like the show, and I've been watching for a couple of years. So keep up the good work. And
thank you, man.
I guess I'll start with the whole Spence Andrade, like these allegations that he's ducking, and like it doesn't make any sense. That I seem to recall that when it was before the Bivol fight was official, they were actually going for Andrade, but my recollection serves me right. It was around the time when he had like allegations of assault or whatever, and that was one of the reasons why the fight got pushed aside. But even then, they were still trying to make that fight. And as far as Spence goes, it doesn't make any sense for Canelo to move down to a catchweight just to fight Spence. I mean, Spence has been saying for years he's going to move up. Like he said around the Mikey Garcia fight, he couldn't make the weight, or he was having trouble making the weight. Yet he's still 147. So, even then, it's like, do you actually think Spence could fucking, like the way people talk about Spence, they make like you think they were talking about Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns with this guy. But, I mean, he's a good fighter, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, they think they're living through Spence, and they're more projecting what they want, what they would want to happen, rather than what could actually happen. It's bizarre. It's I've never seen since before the YouTube community. I was on message boards, and I never saw this type of insanity. Maybe once or twice you would see some nut job going to a message board, and he would get kicked out real quick. But here on the YouTube boxing community, it gives a voice to a lot of people that are, a lot of crazies, a lot of people that should be on medication, probably. But anyway, Timothy, anything else you want to say, man?
Yeah, in regards to the Canelo Bivol fight, I had a coworker, an acquaintance of mine. One of his buddies, he actually sparred with Bivol, and according to him, he said that Bivol hit like a bitch. But I mean, when I watch a Bivol fight, I mean, he seems like he has solid punching power. Not, one punch knockout power, but enough to keep you honest. And I was watching the Smith and the Pascal fights these past few days, and I mean, like they did kind of pressure Bivol, but he seemed to take it well. Like the Smith fight was like, he hurt him a few times. Like in that 10th round, Smith was swinging for the fences, and he caught him at the end of that round. And then it looked like in the 11th he was trying to survive, and then like the last 10 seconds of the 12th of the Smith fight, like he just went off on him. Like he put him in a corner, he started unleashing punches, and in that fight, Bivol threw over like 700 punches. So I was like, I was surprised that he could maintain that kind of output for 175. And as far as the fight, my prediction, like my gut feeling's telling me Bivol's going to win like 8-4 in the ring, but they'll just call it a draw. And then Bivol can stay at 175, and then Triple G can go down to 160. Canelo can go down to 160 and take care of the Charlo, Benavidez, and Triple G. So. Well,
there you go, man. That's what a lot of people are saying, that Bivol can't win a decision. So hopefully the fight's on the level, and hopefully we get a good fight, man. In any event, Timothy, thank you for your call.
Hey,
Great call, man.
One more thing. Before, as far as the OJ episode for the second Renaissance, are you going to do like on the anniversary, because it's going to come up in about a month?
No kidding. Well, we might actually have to do that. Yeah, and we'll do the bodybuilding episode before that. Hey, that's good to know, man.
Yeah.
All right, Timothy. Thank you for your call, man. Thank you for your call.
Yeah.
Catch you in the next one. Yeah, we got to do the OJ episode on Second Renaissance, because that was a crazy, this whole what's her name? Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing. It's captivated the imagination of people, but it's nothing compared to that fucking OJ trial. That was chaos, man. All right, let's go to another phone call here. And don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. 858, you're on the air. 858, what's on your mind?
What's up, this is Jose.
Oh, Jose, what's up, man?
What's up, man? I was just calling to give my opinion on the fight.
Absolutely, go ahead, please.
I think the Bivol, I think Canelo is a more talented fighter, but I think the fact that he's going up to the next division, that's going to be like the equalizing factor. With because say that Bivol is not great, but he's good. I think is enough for it to be like a even fight, and I think might be a decision, close decision. Maybe even Bivol wins. Who knows? but I don't know if he has enough to knock out Canelo or Bivol. Same amount of things to knock out Canelo. But I think it's a pretty even match. That's my opinion.
So who are you picking, Jose?
I'm picking Bivol for the upset.
Bivol for the upset. All right. Well, there you go. Jose is picking Bivol for the upset.
It's only normal, man. Like you could only hit, like so much, man. Like Pacquiao, he lost to Ugas, the welterweight division. So something to think about. I'm just saying, historically, isn't that what happens? When fighters move up.
Well, that's the thing, though. If he loses to Bivol, I mean, Canelo's a guy that's 5 feet 7 inches tall. I don't believe that he's 5'8". I think he's like 5'7.5". He's fighting at 175. If he loses, do you think it's gonna be people are gonna forgive him for the loss and go, all right, just move that back down to 168 and take care of business there?
Move what fight down?
So if he loses to Bivol, he can move down to 168, and people will say, well, he lost in a division that he shouldn't have been fighting in the first place.
Well, respect to him for trying, but either way, I mean, I don't think that's the main thing right now. I think I don't think that it is what it is. If he loses, he lost. He tried, at least he gave it a shot. But I don't think he wants to lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
I don't think he wants to say that. I don't think.
Well, we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Anything else you want to say before we move on there, Jose?
I'm on a boxing show.
Hey, Jose. All right. Listen, Jose, we got to move on, man.
Yeah,
but thank you for your call. We'll catch you on the next one.
The devil's right here.
All right. What the fuck? Was he at work or something, Gonzalo, you think?
Did he say the devil's here?
Shit! You know what? And then I'm getting confused here. I hung up on the wrong call. I think I hung up on 592. 592. Call back. Whoever I hung up on, call back, man. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen him in years. I think he works at the body shop again. So.
I got you. Yeah, hopefully he doesn't have an accident at the body shop, man, while he's placing a call there. All right. This is the person I hung up on. All right, 50. Hold on a second. What's going on here? 504. You're on the air. 504. What's on your mind?
All right, man. I had to come back real quick. Something I had forgot to say I wanted y'all's opinions on because, watching the Oscar Valdez fight, before the fight, everybody kept saying the same thing, or, the camp, Eddie Reynoso, Valdez, we're going to test your core, hit him to the body, rough him up, that was the game plan. But nobody ever talks about how to get in. How do you get into Shakur? How do you close that gap, get past that jab and his movement to get to his body? And then that's something that I think a lot of people are overlooking when it comes to the Canelo fight. All I hear is the same thing. Canelo just going to hit him with these body shots, man. He's going to fold him up. Everybody that fights Bivol wants to, get inside on him, land big shots on him, rough him up. You know what I'm saying? But how do you do that? How do you get past his movement in that jab? That is the question. It isn't what do you do once you get there. It's how do you get past that?
Exactly.
Well, to the caller, with Shakur, it's a little harder because when righty faces lefty, you got the front feet colliding. When you got a righty versus righty, the feet are staggered. So you got that space to put that foot forward. And that's a little easier. But fucking Shakur's, he's awesome, dude. He got quick reflexes. And Bivol got the quick reflexes in the in and out movement. Yeah, but it doesn't matter that much. He's that good.
And I just actually called. I just said that right before you called to Mr. Remember, Mr. BDA? I just said that everybody's saying go to his body, Bivol's body, but it's going to be hard because of his footwork, in the height. 5'7" to what, 6'1"? That's a big stretch. He's got long arms too. He's got an accurate jab. It's gonna be hard just to lay shots into his body. Yeah. I would think if he gets that close, he's gonna want to touch his head.
It's like the in and out when he moves back. You know how Pacquiao rushed Thurman in the first round? He's kind of have to do that. The short man's gotta not just like step in, like really run to him like a Mighty Mouse, and fucking try to catch him with the lead left hook. And that's what Canelo's got to do. It's not necessarily, can he walk him down? No, you just got to like bulldoze forward and really fucking like sprint to him. And sometimes you don't have to be excellent in cutting the ring, but if you could sprint to him and set a trap or winging a hook, if he turns on you and you could catch him, that's how, just on strength alone, maybe Canelo's able to close the gap like that.
You know what? And the caller, you're right about that, about how Canelo's going to have to work to even try to get some shots off. And it's going to be hard because once he gets him and he launches his shot, it's not a given that he's going to land. And then Bivol is just going to retake the center of the ring, and Canelo's going to have to rework all over again just to try to get a shot at that body. So, yeah, man, it's going to be, he's up against it, man. He's got a challenge in front of him.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So, you know, a lot of people saying, Bivol has no chance and stuff like that. If Canelo beats this guy, if Canelo can show on display, how to beat Bivol's puzzle, you know what I'm saying? Show that, how to get inside on Bivol, then I'm going to be extremely impressed. That is, if he's number one pound for pound, easy to me, easy. If he can go in there and stop Bivol or something like that, that'll be nuts. That'll be so impressive because we see how good Bivol is. But one more thing, I think Canelo's style, like how he's been fighting, even the Plant fight, like Plant's a mover, Slick tries to be a slick boxer and stuff like that. This walk down style, that Canelo has, that is not how, I don't know who said it, but that's not how, Manny Pacquiao, like I agree, like that's what Canelo would have to do, or one of the ways that you would stop Bivol, you just rush him and you take whatever he throws and then you just keep coming, and you got to be fast because he's going to move with his feet, he's going to move away from you. But Canelo, like dealing with movers, he just bulks.
Did we lose
not the in and out ambush
Bivol, like when I
in that instance where
I look at how
Thurman
big
very
he's getting,
mobile,
how strong he's getting, and all this stuff. That's what I think he's doing, and I'm telling you, that is the wrong game plan for Bivol. That's not. It doesn't make any sense, and it's not going to work.
All right. Well, listen, we got disconnected there a little bit between the Discord and the caller, but caller, good points, man. Excellent points again, and we'll see what happens, man. All right, we got to move on to another call, but call back next time, all right, man?
All right, for sure.
All right, take it easy, man. Yeah, sorry about that, because for some reason the internet went off again for a couple of seconds there, so we got disconnected there. But yeah, so all right, let me go to another phone call here, because we're almost at the end here of the show. Oh, geez, Luis. 262, you're on the air. 262, there's somebody screaming in the background. Try to get into a place where it's silent, please.
Hey, how you doing? Big shout out to your station.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to comment on the Canelo Bivol fight.
Yes, please.
I mean, everybody talk about how he's gonna beat Bivol up. I mean, you seen fighters like Canelo. What happened to Tyson? Look at Tour. Puncher boxers beat him up.
Mm-hmm.
Puncher boxers beat him up, and that's what he's fighting. A puncher boxer. Is he willing to take them punches coming in there? Because after a lot of them punches, you get dizzy, and before you know it, you out of it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. Yeah, and that's the other thing is like.
I mean, if you know boxing.
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead.
Right. I mean, Bivol is a smart fighter. Have y'all seen that man fight? That man is smart.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, absolutely. That man is a smart fighter. He's not. And Canelo, I mean, Canelo a great fighter. I swear. I mean, it's like it's like he already know he's gonna win that fight. He got the other fight booked and everything like that. Every dog has his day.
I agree, man. In fact, if you listen to the callers, the first of all, the people on the panel here, I think most of us are picking Bivol, and then the callers seem to reflect that too.
I mean,
almost everybody's saying Bivol. Well,
I mean that's real. You think Bivol want to give his belt up? I mean, come on, and everybody thinks that he's not worthy of. Come on, Bivol beat some tough fighters. I think a lot of them fighters would have beat Canelo up.
Well, see, now, I don't know about that, but I do believe that Bivol himself is quite a test. Now, what's your official prediction, caller?
I got Bivol in the late rounds.
Whoa. Stoppage, you're saying?
Whoa. Yeah, in the late rounds, I got Canelo going to get thirsty and try to run up in there because he can't get to him, and boom, boom, bam, boom. Bivol got power, and he know when to use it and when not to use it.
All right, I wrote down the prediction. I wrote down the prediction. Boom, boom, bam. All right.
It said boom, boom, bam. Thank you, man. No.
Right. Hey, big shout out to your station, man. Big shout out.
Thank you, caller. Call back next time. Good call, man.
Yeah.
Good call. Take it easy, man.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah,
BDA. I don't think that Russian Canelo is really like a good idea either. No. I don't think it's a good idea. But if push comes to shove and he's losing big on the scorecards, he can just basically say, I got this cookie monster neck. I'm taking your punches and I have no choice. Where I am going to rush in and try to take you out because this is the only shot I got, right?
Well, Gonzalo, that's pretty much, I mean, that's got to be his game plan. He's got to be willing to sell out. He's got to be willing to sell out and take a shot to get in. It's just the name of the game. It's depending on you just as a fighter pick what shot you want to take to get in. That's why, again, with Shakur, this is why I was found so shocking with, he didn't jump in off the right punch. He was jumping in with a straight right. But, with Bivol, though, if you miss too with Bivol, he can make you pay, and he hits hard. So, again, it's just it's a big ask. It'll be one hell of a victory if he beats him.
And another thing, Jimmy, since Canelo got a good shell like, I don't know, Arthur Abraham or even Joshua Clottey, he's got that going along with if the fact that he decides to bulldoze forward, he can always carry that high guard and rush in like that, right? That'll kind of help him out and catching some punches on the gloves, right?
And he won't square himself up either. That's another thing. Like, I couldn't understand, Valdez, when he was just squaring himself up, shoulders meaning. He was just, turning, he was doing a peekaboo thing, but his shoulders were squared up to him. That you need to be sideways and dotting. That's what he needed to do, and jumping with crosses. It was just crazy. But Canelo will do that. He's slippery from the waist, and he'll be ducking from side to side, and then he'll jump in like he did with same type of plan he has to do with Plant. The big, almost the same dimensions. Plant and Bivol have almost very similar frame and height. It's going to be the same type of thing. We just know that Bivol is more talented, has better foot, and hits harder. This is just Plant on steroids.
You know what, man? That's the point about the Canelo thing. That's the defense. That's true. That's why I'm picking Bivol, but I'm not picking him by a beatdown. I don't think he's going to be able to land flush whenever he wants on Canelo because he's short. Canelo's short. And like you said, he moves his head very well. And he's got a dynamic guard, an active guard. He's not just sitting there. Because people are going to think I'm crazy, but hear me out. Pascal is a very similar fighter to Canelo in the rhythm. He likes to block shots. He likes to lull his opponents to sleep, letting them think that they got a free shot on him. And then before they know it, he explodes. And he fights in spurts. That's what he does. But if you can take him out of his rhythm and you have a good jab, like Hopkins did, like Kovalev, then you can beat him. But if you're just waiting, then you're giving him a shot. And that's what Canelo does. Except Canelo does it with better defense. And the flip side to that coin is that Jean Pascal is an actual big dude, whereas Canelo's moving up to 175. So it evens itself out to a certain degree.
You know what's a good comparison? Although it wasn't at the weight class. You know who gave Canelo a good fight, BDA, with the foot movement? Miguel Cotto.
Yeah.
Miguel Cotto he was displacing himself well, where he was changing it up on Canelo, showing good dexterity and the pivoting, the lateral movement, and Canelo wasn't exactly walking in. Miguel Cotto fought a good fight. I thought it was like real close. But you got to consider Bivol is that much bigger. He's free-flowing with the movement as to where now Canelo's more muscle-bound. So it might be that much harder for him to exchange because with Cotto, they were more like even, He wasn't that muscle-bound.
Yeah, I mean, it was... One thing that did play a little bit of a factor when it comes to the size in there for Canelo was that he was able to block shots and not be afraid. Like, he could go into his shell and he wasn't bothered too much by what Canelo was throwing at him. So, but he was also skilled. I mean, he outboxed Canelo. Cotto, sorry. He outboxed Cotto. It's not like he bullied him with size or anything like that. He was skilled for the most part. So, Canelo, man, you're right, though, that footwork alone was there. But that's the other thing about when we say, well, Pacquiao was good at rushing people because he could cut the distance quickly. But once some certain guys got his rhythm, they were able to at least make it the distance by keeping him turning, because Pacquiao wouldn't really get close. He would feint and then jump in, and since he was so quick, it would work. But once you had his timing figured out, you could keep him turning all night. It was it was a whole other thing to actually land on him because he was so fast, but you could at least keep him turning. So when you're putting pressure, a good pressure fighter is actually a guy that takes his time little by little steps, and stays on a guy, glued to a guy. Kind of like Julio Chavez, kind of like Golovkin. Lomachenko to a certain extent. He's an underrated guy. Once he gets, look at the Teofimo Lopez fight, which he lost, but once he turned it on, he was sticking to fucking Lopez like glue, and Lopez was getting miffed in there. So we'll see what happens, man. It's an intriguing fight for sure.
Yeah, and I think he's going to exercise the patience, because they keep talking about that. I can read in between the lines when they talk about remaining calm, because Canelo he doesn't have the greatest of gas tanks, I think, but the reason that's gotten better because of the patience allows him to distribute his gas tank and not get too overly where he's wasting away his adrenaline. Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, I'm going to rewatch some of his fights, man, as we end the show here. Actually, we got one last call here. Somebody's coming in late here. Let's go to a phone call. 346, you're on the air. 346, what's on your mind?
Hey, man, it's a logical man. Check this out, man. Bivol only down two rounds already before he even started fighting. But who the hell has he even... When I'm looking at his old fights, he hasn't knocked out nobody. So the only chance he has is unanimous decision. It's not going to happen. It ain't happening. I think Canelo might stop him in 8 rounds. Yeah, I'm saying it. Canelo might stop him in 8 rounds. But I can respect about Bivol. He's the first guy that Canelo has fought. Well, not the first, but right now in Canelo's prime, the first guy he has fought that's not scared of him. Doesn't care about who he knocked out, who he fought. He doesn't give a shit. He even didn't even care about what they thought about, Jamal think he would have been a better. He's like, I don't care about that guy. Like, I've never seen his fights. Who has he fought? I'm here to fight. I'm here to win, and I'm taking it to him. And I like to hear that. But he ain't doing shit.
Well, there you go. That's the logical man's take on that, man. So what's your official prediction? You're saying Canelo stoppage?
Canelo in 8 rounds, or Canelo in unanimous decision. Probably maybe 2 rounds up, of course.
All right. Well, that's the thing. Those scorecards. We're gonna be keeping a close eye on those judges, man. And if they get it wrong,
let me say one thing. Though.
Sure.
To you fools thinking that Bivol is going to stop Canelo, I don't know if you're smoking some kind of rock or shroom, but y'all, you're damn mind. It's not going to happen. Though. The only person that had any chance of beating Canelo was either Triple G, but he's old as hell now. He's going to get his ass knocked out. I guarantee that. And David Benavidez, if he gets some more training in and defense, the dude has so much potential, but he got to make weight. I think he's too big for 168 anyway. But that's my last thing to say.
All right. Thank you for your call, Logical Man. Call back next time. Take it easy, man. Good call.
All right, have a good one, man.
You too, man. Yeah, so he's saying he doesn't give Bivol a chance out of the stoppage. Yeah, I think that's a little bit going for the stoppage. It's a big one. It's a big leap, but you never know. This is boxing. That's why they're fighting. 10-ounce gloves, man.
Well, if Canelo gets another fucking gimme, or like a decision like he got in the first Triple G, say like if Bivol beats him, like convincingly, the way I think Triple G beat him convincingly in the first fight, and he was to get another one decision like that, even though it's not his fault per se, it's going to be hard, man. People are going to really start getting on him. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Then it's like, okay, at what point can we start taking, like, yeah, you can go out and unify divisions, dude, but if they're just looking at, like, this fight's in Vegas, you're the cash cow, and, think about the other judge, like, okay, if we give Bivol wins, he could fight here 2 months from now, and we'd be giving away tickets to get the place half filled. Canelo fights and you got people lining up the door and it's sold out in 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. That's hard for casinos not to put pressure on. I mean, if there's still corruption going on, that would be the angle. It's not even Canelo himself. It's I would think it's whoever's running the scenes behind this shit, involved with the hotels and the sanctioning, the site fee people. Because they're the ones, they know, they bring in. Now, if you own that casino and when Canelo fights You hold a Canelo fight at your casino, and you're looking at a $30-40 million surplus in money from whales coming in from all over the world, and just the spectacle and the money you make. That's hard if you have any say, not to continue to keep happening.
And it's like Thunderdome. It's like Thunderdome says. Just look at the pattern. Whenever he wins a fight, if it's a close fight, there's always one scorecard for him that's very wide, but you never see it for the other guy. Golovkin, they didn't give, there wasn't a 119, 108 or 117, 111 type card for Golovkin. Neither was there for Lara or for Trout. You know what I mean? So there's a precedent across 3-4 fights of those close fights for Canelo where he gets one big white card and the other guy never does. So you can't dispute that.
So absurd.
Nobody moves the needle like Canelo, and it's almost like in boxing, it's expected that there's rivalry. So we kind of get like, who am I? But what I'm trying to say is we kind of like don't care anymore. It's like, yeah, this is expected, and you might get pissed about it like for a few days, but then it comes to pass, and it's like whatever.
Exactly.
It's because there's not enough stars in boxing right now. That's what it is. There's not enough players. There's really one guy. It's Canelo, and then it's a fucking big drop off till you get to the next person moving the needle. Exactly. It's crazy. I've never seen it to this. Yeah, even Mike Tyson, when he was a cultural phenomenon, there was still a fucking plethora of fighters that moved the needle. I couldn't even begin to name them all at the same time. Right now, it's Canelo. That's it.
Exactly. Well, there's Joshua, Canelo, and then you got regional attractions. Like if Tank Davis fights in Atlanta, he can do good numbers there. Errol Spence.
Yeah, I know. You're right. I should have said Vegas. You know what I mean? That's what I should have said. Vegas.
Yeah, mainstream.
Right?
I thought you were talking like
fighters. The mainstream.
I thought you were mainstream, like where they transcend the sport. There's only two. Everyone else is on the cusp. Now, the other thing I wanted to say about that.
You think like if Lomachenko and all these Russians were fighting in the 80s and 90s, they would get more credit? It's now that the people have got more smug. Because I think Costa Azul was Russian, but he was Australian by citizenship. Uh-huh. But before it's like fans were different. Now it's just the people. They've changed. They're kind of like smug and arrogant. Before I think those guys would get more credit, but no, that's it.
I don't know about that, Gonzalo. That's a difficult one to answer. I remember listening, like I said, for decades I was on the message boards, and maybe it's because we had a good filtering system where we would ban the trolls, but here I think it's YouTube. It gives a platform to more people, and therefore you get more casuals, and they spew out things that just don't make sense, and then you got to deal with them, and then it becomes a whole mess. But again, that's what's fun about here, this boxing community here, that we get to interact with people and that we get to have these debates and discussions. So that's what at the end of the day, it adds a little bit more pizzazz to the fights. Because I got to tell you, I've been having more fun than I ever remember ever since we started commiserating here on YouTube. Because at least that's another element of fun to it, of interaction rather. So I'm happy. I'll take it any way I can. And we got a good fight this Saturday. We had a bunch of good calls, man. Really appreciate it. Everybody who called in, everybody who donated with the super chat, and of course everybody that listened in. Don't forget Friday, Open Lines Friday. It's open lines, meaning anybody can jump on. Usually we do them now at about 5:30 or 6, so we can get the West Coast. So make sure to jump on. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. Check us out on iTunes, Spreaker, Spotify. Fellas, anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
I just want to say great show, Mr. PDA, as usual. Thanks for having me on. Gonzalo, you have, be safe. That's it. Now, everybody who called in, thank you. Thank you for everybody who gives to the show. It really means a lot to us.
I say if it goes to the decision, I'll have it to where I give 7 rounds to Bivol and 5 for Canelo. So I'm favoring Bivol by decision, but if it doesn't go the distance, I think Canelo takes him out in 10 rounds.
Oh,
because Bivol will come on strong in the 11th and the 12th. But prior to him rallying back, he falls into a lull, so I can see Canelo catching him.
Interesting.
Yeah, Canelo by knockout or Bivol by decision. All
right, we'll see if that comes to fruition. Again, guys, thank you for joining us. Yeah, no communiques today. We gotta go. Next time, next Sunday, we'll read your fan letters. All right, fellas. So thanks again, and don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and have yourselves a good night.
Disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in everyone. Disappointed in everyone.
All right.
Shit, I forgot to say bye to the people in the chat. Shout out to Jacob Torres, Larry Liston, Fastcar, Boxing Archives and Facts, Don Ramon Champ, Orale Carnal, Wise Guy, JAM84, Hawker Mustang, Jacob Torres, The Quags, Jussie Mullet, Soothsayer, Eparokua, and everybody else, guys. You know who you are. If I missed you, it's because I gotta go. Thanks again, fellas. Take it easy. Thanks for watching.